Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy Deadline stream, this time out of Matchday 10, the second leg of the knockout playoff rounds, and we've got a lot of injury updates over the last couple of days, even from the team selection recording yesterday. Ian is out, that is confirmed by Atalanta, and I will cover all the latest news that we have gotten, and if you have seen anything yourself that maybe hasn't been covered in this stream, then drop a link in the live chat, it would be greatly appreciated. There are reports of cCaFxb being out of the Sporting squad, so if you do have cCaFxb, it looks like a very easy sell. So if you do have a link for that, let me know. And for the next 2 hours, and it could even be up to 3 hours if we reach our super chat goal, I'll be covering all your UCL Fantasy Deadline stream questions. And even after the deadline has passed and we've got that early kickoff of AC Milan versus Feyenoord, we can still chill afterwards, talk about FPL, football, and many other things. But let's get straight into your comments as always. Drop a like if you enjoy the content. Subscribe to the channel. We're looking to get to 32 subscribers today. We are less than 80 away, I believe, at the time of me saying it. Sonindra says, hey Dylan, Ian got to play, or should I sell him? Is it worth selling Colomwani and KDB Foden to Garassi, Pavlidis and Elisa Bellingham? That's a lot of different transfers and permutations, mate. But yes, Ian is out. That is confirmed. So I'll be looking to sell him as a priority. I think Kim Min-jae is a nice replacement, but I don't know who you have in your squad, at least in that defensive line. Colomwani did a brilliant piece of play against Inter Milan in that 1-0 win, and he got the assist. He's only blanked in one match, and unfortunately it was in the Champions League there for Juventus, but it really depends who you can go to in terms of selling Colomwani, and as you say, Garassi, Pavlidis are options for you. I'd be tempted by Pavlidis, so that's the sort of move I'd look to make. You do have KDB and Foden, to be fair, and I'm expecting a high-scoring game, but Real Madrid have some key players back, like Antonio Rudiger, who is expected to start for Los Merengues, but yeah, Elise and Bellingham, they're good options to replace one of Foden or KDB. I think my preference is selling KDB, although he's still got that moment of brilliance in him. Ultimately, with your team, Ian out to Kim Min-jae would be a solid move, maybe Otamendi as well. And I would probably look to sell KDB to Elise. That would be my preference, and keeping Colomwani and seeing if he can score for the first time in the Champions League this season. Easy99 says, my team right now, Donnarumma, Neuer, Theo Hernandez, Ian, Flamingo, Hakimi, Carrere, Jude, Musiala, Pulisic, Kokchu, Dembele, Garassi, Retegui, Kane. Still not made any transfers yet. Yeah, Ian will be transferred out. So yeah, that will be covered very soon. I mean, it technically has been already, but I'll show you on screen what people are referring to. So yeah, Max Robo PT says, I know the stream hasn't started yet, but cCaFxb did not travel with the team, and this is by a Sporting fan, based on the logo that I see. So for everyone who has him, I recommend selling him. I do appreciate that. If you've got a link, then drop it in the live chat. That would be greatly appreciated, because I try to find that news. I do trust you, by the way, but yeah, I just haven't seen it myself. Maybe Sporting themselves have posted the squad, and that's how you saw it. Yeah, Ian is injured. He needs to be transferred out. Yeah, I wasn't counting in wasting a transfer there. Is this in reference to Ian or cCaFxb? Maybe even both. That would definitely be a big blow for those who have both of them in UCL Fantasy. Kane isn't out. He is doubtful, but he has been training, and I've got a few sources that kind of point towards him starting. Also the predicted lineups. I'll go through them briefly, but not so much AC Milan Feyenoord. There's not really any point of me showing a predicted lineup when we get the lineup before the deadline. So with that one, I'll kind of skim over it. Yo guys, what's a good replacement for Ian? Possibly another Atalanta defender. I've got Sappacosta, Baccio, Hakimi, and Gvardiol right now. I would look at Kim Min-jae or perhaps Otamendi. Now, it also depends on who you think will keep a clean sheet, but I don't mind a defensive double-up in Atalanta. That's why I did it myself in the first place, but yeah, I'd probably look towards diversifying your defensive line. So yeah, just for those that maybe are saying happy birthday afterwards, it is not my birthday. There's still a few months left. Bruno Silva says, every prediction I saw had Kane in. Exactly. Ian is out in most predictions, and that's pretty much confirmed now because Atalanta posted their squad and Ian isn't in it. So we might as well go through that first, and you can see he's orange flagged or doubtful in UCL Fantasy, but let's go through some different screens, and I know more people will join later, so I'll go through these at some point later on. But let's go to Predict 6, and I've gone for AC Milan 2, Feyenoord 1, and unfortunately in the last round I actually changed that Feyenoord AC Milan prediction, so I lost out on a few points from that. Now with Bayern Munich Celtic, I got that spot on last week, 2-1 for Bayern Munich, and this time I'm going for a 2-0 win for the home side. Atalanta 2, Club Brugge 0, Borussia Dortmund 2, Sporting 1, and maybe if Sporting rest a lot of key players and cCaFxb is out, I might go for an even bigger scoreline, but Dortmund have really struggled in the German league. PSV 1, Juventus 1, and Real Madrid 2, Manchester City 1. Those are my current predictions, and Bayern Munich is the one I'm most confident in, and that's why I've gone for the booster / captaincy, if you can call it that. It used to be called the Joker in UCL Predictor. If you haven't already, by the way, join my UCL Fantasy League. The code is cCaFxb. There is also an auto-join link in the description. The same goes for my Discord server, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Spotify, and much more. If you want to become a patron or a channel member to support the channel even further, it's patreon.com/DylanRCM, and you can click the join button on YouTube. But these are the different kind of sources and stuff to talk about. So Harry Kane was not seen with the team during the final training, but there's still no official update from the club. According to the commentator, the club's commentator, Vincent Kompany will answer later in the press conference. So that's one update we got recently, but we got some more updates on Harry Kane. So he missed today's training as a precaution. He's expected to be available against Celtic, but a final decision will be made shortly before the game. So it is kind of touch and go, as Sean Dyche loves to say. I bet you didn't expect me to mention Sean Dyche in a UCL Fantasy stream. And this is another post by Bayern and Germany. Most of the players that started against Leverkusen only trained for 35 minutes today, so I wouldn't be too concerned about Joshua Kimmich not completing the final training session. So these are predicted lineups according to one source. So they've gone for Neuer in goal, Lema, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, and Ito, who had a very good performance against Leverkusen. Kimmich, Goretzka, Musiala, Elise, Sane, and Kane. Whilst with Celtic, they've gone for Schmeichel, Taylor, Trusty, Carter-Vickers, Johnston, McGregor, Engels, Hatate, sorry, my eyesight is terrible, Kun, Klar, and Maeda. Ida, sorry, Klar. What the hell am I on about? So yeah, that's one predicted lineup, and this is another one, this time by Build, so very similar. But in this one, they've got Jota in there, and I think the rest is the same for Celtic and for Bayern Munich. Pretty much the exact same, except the left back. So Build are suggesting Guerrero starts. That's the only kind of point of contention. I think everything else they are in agreement with, but I'll show more predicted lineups fairly soon using UEFA.com. Moving on to Atalanta. So this is the news I kind of talked about in recent days. So Lookman and Kolasinac took part in full training on Saturday, and both of them have been included in the Atalanta squad, but there is a quote by Gasperini which doesn't suggest Lookman will start, and I'll cover that very soon. So this is what people are talking about in the live chat now. So this has been confirmed by the club that Isak Hien has suffered an abductor injury and will miss tonight's match against Club Brugge. He's expected to be out for around 3 weeks. So that is the latest on Hien. I would be looking to sell, of course, and it's a shame. You could say it was a bit unfortunate in Matchday 9 because it was a very soft penalty that he conceded, and he was on course for 5 points even without the clean sheet before that penalty that he committed. So this is the squad list for Atalanta. Toloi, Posh, Sulemana, Cuadrado, Pasalic, Lookman, Ederson, De Roon, Bellanova, De Ketelaere, Jim City, great name, Ruggeri, Kolasinac, Samardzic, Casa, Palestra, Rui Patricio, Carnesecchi, Rossi, Retegui, Bresciani, Vlahovic, and Zappacosta. So the big absentee there is Hien, and 2 massive boosts with Kolasinac and Lookman back in the squad. But this is what Gasperini said, and you can find it on UEFA.com. He said it in his press conference yesterday. Lookman and Kolasinac have recovered. In principle, Kolasinac will start, and Lookman might come in during the second half. We will probably lose him. We'll probably lose Hien on Monday. That's what he said. We did a final training session, and he felt some fatigue in his abductor. So that is all the news you need from Atalanta. Lookman will likely be a substitute, and Kolasinac, if all is good, will start in Matchday 10. Next up is about Antonio Rudiger. He is available to start against Man City. This will be his first game in quite a while, actually. And there are many different reports coming out, which you can see on Madrid Extra, for example, on X. So Ancelotti said in his press conference, we need to see how Valverde is feeling. He had a discomfort from last match. Asensio could play at right back. And he also said Lucas Vazquez has not fully recovered yet. And this is just in, apparently, by a reliable journalist. Antonio Rudiger and Raul Asensio are expected to be the starting centre-backs tomorrow against Manchester City, and Tchouaméni would start in the midfield. And the last kind of update I have for you is the Real Madrid squad, and here you can see Courtois, Lunin, Mestre, Alaba, Lucas Vazquez, Vallejo, Fran Garcia, Rudiger, Mendy, Asensio, Bellingham, Camavinga, Valverde, Modric, Tchouameni, Arda Güler, Ceballos, Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Endrick, and Brahim Diaz. So Rudiger back is a massive boost. And Alaba is also in the squad, but he will be on the bench. So those are all the latest updates I've got myself. But like I mentioned earlier, some people in the chat are saying that Gyökeres is out. He is not in the Sporting squad, so I'll be looking to sell him as well. Before I go into my transfer plans and talk about what I discussed in yesterday's team selection with updated graphics, I will just go back into your questions for now. Drop a like I said before, if you enjoy the content or find it insightful, because everything you need to know for Matchday 10 is covered. The same goes for the entire UCL Fantasy campaign. So yeah, a lot of people are correct in the live chat. Hien is 100% out, as I just covered as well. Heard rumours Pulisic is injured. Yeah, I'm not sure where you're getting that from. If you've got a link, drop it in the chat and we can go through it, but I haven't seen anything myself. If that is the case, I will have to change my midfielder. Yeah, don't worry. I did correct myself with Ida. It's just my eyesight. I'll blame it on that. Bruges' penalty was scandalous versus Atalanta. Yeah, it's just a big shame. I think we probably jinxed them. At least I did. Good to see you, El Padrino. Salute, Dylan, my big guy. Big up, fella. 400 here. Oh, boy, at least we got over 100 likes. That's a decent ratio, relatively speaking, right? Oh, no, we're not even anywhere near that. Yeah, look, YouTube is a bit like that usually with like to view ratio, but don't worry, we'll get to 200 plus eventually. I do appreciate those who have dropped a like already. But thank you, El Padrino. Good to see you as always. Obviously, The Godfather, one of the best trilogies of all time. And yes, the third film is still pretty good. Kim Min-jae or Upamecano? Kim Min-jae for me. Gino Egan says Hien and Gyökeres to Garassi and Otamendi / Sapcosta, or Hien and Gyökeres to Vinicius and Thomas Araujo. I would go for the Garassi and probably Sapcosta route if I'm picking from those two duos, but they're all very solid. What do you think about Jimenez? I mentioned him a few times throughout my videos, especially as a differential. If you are looking for that kind of low-owned striker, I think Pavlidis would be my favourite, but Jimenez is a solid choice. Sapcosta for Hien, yeah, that's a decent transfer for sure. But there's also Otamendi and many others I discussed in all of my videos. And for those that might be asking, what should I do for the Wildcard or Limitless? Check out those respective videos. I've pretty much kept everything the exact same. I don't think anything has really changed after the updates. Maybe just remove Lookman, for example, because I did discuss the possibility of including him in your team. Now, the last time he was a substitute in the Champions League, he came on and did extremely well in the second half, but it's still quite risky to kind of rely on a super cameo appearance off the bench. Keep Barcola, I might have to in the end if the rumours of Pulisic, which people are mentioning in the live chat, is true, and Foden is also on the chopping block for me. Trade Hien for Kim Min-jae? Yeah, that's my most likely defender replacement for him, but if you want to go differential, Otamendi is a solid choice. NS says, I'm so sick of company rotations. Yeah, I mean, to be fair with Kim Min-jae, though, that's the first time he's been benched in the Champions League this season. Harry Kane has always started when fit, so yeah, company has rotated quite a lot recently across all competitions, but I think he's managed the last few games quite well, and despite being outplayed by Bayer Leverkusen, they got the result and they'll likely win the Bundesliga title. Bruno Silva says, do we think Garassi could have a big haul? He could, but I have to say the 3-0 lead doesn't fill me with confidence, which might sound strange, but I think Dortmund might just focus all in on defence. Now, I think Sporting will still score, but if Gyökeres is out, which I think is the case, then that's a massive blow for Sporting. And psychologically, I mean, how did the Portuguese outfit really go into that game feeling they're going to go through, being 3-0 down and without their best player? VA64 Shelby says, the thing with Lookman is that even coming from the bench at half-time, he can easily score 2 goals and get man of the match. Yeah, I just mentioned that as well. It's a good point, but when you're looking to buy a midfielder in, is that really what you want to go for? He's done it once this season, fair enough, but it's a very small sample size, and Club Brugge are 2-1 up. They're going to defend the lead, and they're probably a better team than, you know, the opponent Lookman played early in the campaign when he came on as a substitute and did the business. Retegui or Santiago? It's a close one. I actually saw one predicted lineup that didn't have Retegui, but I think with Lookman potentially benched, which is very likely, you would expect Retegui to start still. I'm going to favour Santiago Jimenez here. Not by much, though. If Jude Bellingham is banned, could that include the Champions League? No, that's only La Liga. They are talking about a 4-game suspension, possibly even up to 12 matches, depending on the referee's report and other things, but don't worry about it. It's not related to UCL Fantasy. Bellingham will play. So thank you for the super chat. CDK, I'm guessing that's De Ketelaere, right? But I'm stupid. Retegui, Pavlidis, Guirassy or Jimenez. My favourite is probably Pavlidis. He has scored twice against Monaco this season in 2 appearances, both of them victories for Benfica. I know they won 7-1 this weekend, Monaco, but you'd still expect Benfica to go through and Pavlidis to get some chances. They're all great options though, and I think the one with the high ceiling might arguably be De Ketelaere, to be fair, but my favourite this week is Pavlidis. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat too. Lookman's not starting, I just covered that a few minutes ago, mate. So Gasperini said, and you can find the quote in UEFA.com, he said Kolasinac will start and Lookman will likely come off the bench. I'm kind of paraphrasing with the last part, but that is... I'll cover it again on screen because I know some people are tuning in late. Yeah, Pulisic out, I'm not sure where this is coming from. So if you've got a link to the Pulisic news, leave in the live chat and I'll have a look and we can discuss it in more detail. Who do I replace Lookman with? I mean, look, in this case, I'd maybe consider keeping him because off the bench he can do something. I just think for those looking to buy a midfielder, I'd probably go for someone more secure in terms of minutes. But, I mean, if you're really happy with the rest of your team and you think Lookman's the weak link, then I would be looking at Igor Paxao as a differential. I think Bakayoko would be my favourite in terms of low-owned midfielders to make the difference, who isn't from a kind of maybe big club, so to speak, or from one of the favourites to go through. You've also got the likes of Dembele and Barcola who go about saying, I think Dembele is a clear standout. If you don't have him, he should be a priority for you. Jose says, Sapacosta for Hien and Pulisic for Joao Neves. That has been mad consistent. Yeah, Joao Neves, one of the best midfielders in Europe, you could argue, and even in UCL Fantasy, he's kind of averaging 4 to 5 points per match day. So I'm actually not against that. They're good transfers overall, but like I just mentioned now, Igor Paxao and Bakayoko have more attacking potential. You've also got a few others there like Foden, Bellingham, and many others that I've covered in my best Limitless and Wildcard teams. Of course, Dembele, Musiala and Elise would be standouts in the midfield. Pulisic, Barcola or Adeyemi? I would favour Barcola, especially if the Pulisic news is true, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying he's not fit. So tempted to go Paxao punt if Pulisic is not fit? Yeah. I mean, if you're backing Feyenoord to score away from home, I think Igor Paxao will be, well, he'll likely be involved, let's put it that way. So that's a good shout. Very low ownership. He's the highest scoring midfielder left from those remaining teams and players in the competition. Gyökeres and Trincao are confirmed out. I think he may save a few as the focus is the league now. Yeah, and obviously that draw this weekend was very poor. At home, a 2-2 draw, and Benfica closed the gap to 2 points. I get it, but I still think there's a chance to, turn things around against Dortmund. They've been that bad this season, but Sporting have been kind of mixed bag since the departure of Ruben Amorim. -4 Otamendi for Hien. I'm not a big fan of a -4 hit, but Otamendi could justify it. He got 10 points in the last match day. I think Monaco could score though, I'm not going to lie. ¿Crees que Adeyemi será un buen cambio? Creo que sí. En la última jornada no creía que iba a jugar, pero empezó el partido. Es que con Dortmund no sé si van a defender mucho porque están 3-0 arriba en el partido, así que va a ser muy difícil. Y creo que los atacantes de Borussia Dortmund no son tan interesantes como en la jornada 9, por ejemplo. Pulisic is the LeBron of soccer? Definitely not. He's a good player though. Is Paxao a good option? Yes. Kokchu as a differential for Pulisic or Foden if Pulisic starts. The thing is, Kokchu has played more of a defensive role in recent matches, which he was asked about actually, and you can also find the quote on UEFA.com. Now look, he's still a decent UCL fantasy option, but I'd probably favour one of the midfielders I just mentioned. Yet Hien is injured, also covered. Should I keep Haaland? I don't mind keeping him. He scored a brace after all in the reverse fixture. And he is doubtful, I get it from that perspective, but he should start. I'd be very surprised if Haaland wasn't in the squad, and to be honest, if he doesn't start, I'd be very shocked as well. Gittins or Reinders? Slight preference for Gittins. Marmoush a good choice? I have recommended him in FPL, but in UCL Fantasy, I just don't see him being anywhere near the levels of Guirassy, Pavlidis, Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, even Haaland himself, and then you've got Harry Kane if he's fit. So, look, he is a good choice, let me put it that way, but I think there are better options in the forward line. Last week, Adeyemi was a great differential for me, says Kazi. Hien is confirmed out, yes. Will Kusanov start? Because I heard Diaz is out. Well, yeah, with all the injuries City have, I think Kusanov is likely to start, but I wouldn't recommend him. I would avoid all Man City and Real Madrid defenders. That includes Rudiger, who is back in the fold now, and you could argue Gvardiol because he has attacking threat, but I'm not a big fan. Top 5 captaincy choices. That was kind of highlighted in my recent team selection video. So my top 3 favourites would be Kane, Dembele and Vinicius. But remember, you've got options on the Tuesday and also on the Wednesday. So don't think, oh, Dembele is the best captain for Matchday 10. Let me captain him. Captain a Tuesday player first and then you can switch it, just for those that aren't aware. I'd also put... I think Hakimi would be up there for me, actually. And a 5th option might include Pavlidis. So that's my kind of rough top 5, but the top 3 is certainly locked in for me. I know Vinicius has been poor recently in La Liga, but in the Champions League, he's been spectacular all season. Thank you, Marius. Garassi to Pavlidis and keep Rodrigo. I mean, look, like I just mentioned in Spanish and English with Garassi, I'm not completely sure about him this week. So if I'm building a fresh wildcard or Limitless team, I wouldn't go for Garassi personally. But let's not forget, he hasn't blanked in the Champions League this season. So it's difficult for me to say, yeah, sell Garassi to Pavlidis as much as I do rate the Greek striker. I'd actually rather sell Rodrigo, but I understand why you're looking to offload Garassi instead, because Rodrigo will likely feature in a high-scoring game, and he's also got a great record against Man City. But my preference out of Garassi and Rodrigo would be Garassi still. Hey Dylan, Haaland is showing as doubtful. He should be fine. He even posted something on Instagram saying that he's going to be available, and like I just said a few minutes ago, I'd be shocked if he didn't play. Haaland was in full training this morning. Thank you for the update, Geo boys. I didn't see that, but I'm just confident he'll start anyway, but I appreciate it. Colin Mwani, decent choice, but I wouldn't be buying him. If you got Colin Mwani, he might be worth sticking with, a bit like a few of these players we're talking about across all positions, but I wouldn't buy him. I think there are better forwards elsewhere. Yeah, you did ask this in the last deadline stream, and it's a good question. I did say Feyenoord being AC Milan would have been my kind of shock prediction. Now, I don't think AC Milan are a top team. They're one of the biggest names in Europe, but they are quite inconsistent. I do think they'll go through, but the most likely upset, so to speak, would be Feyenoord going through. And with that 1-0 advantage, they definitely have a chance now. Anita says Adeyemi and Foden to Elise and Sane. I'm not really there with Sane anymore. A few years ago, if you watched my videos back then, you would have known how much I loved Leroy Sane as a UCL fantasy option, but he doesn't offer that consistency anymore. So Elise is absolutely fine, and Sane could very well score, but he's very inconsistent. I'd rather go elsewhere. You could also keep one of those players, Adeyemi or Foden, but I understand why you're looking to make some upgrades. Would you do Pulisic to Jude Bellingham? If Pulisic is confirmed out before the deadline, then yes, I would. But until we get that confirmation, or maybe like reliable sources indicating he's going to be benched, until that happens, or until I see it, I would probably advise against it. So FPL Oliver says, Dylan, Pulisic confirmed bench by Football Italian, a reliable source. Oh, if it's Football Italia on Twitter, I'll have a look now. So thank you for pointing me in the right direction, I think. So let me have a look, because they also reported several things like Lookman being in the squad. They also collate information from a lot of Italian journalists. So let's see. Let's see. They've got some stuff on Juventus, but let's see if they've got anything on Pulisic. Maybe it was from yesterday. If you've got a link, like I said, leave it in the live chat and I will have a look. It will save us a bit of time. Okay, I think I've got one. Yeah, it was from 21 hours ago. Let's go through that as well. And I'll also show you the different screens that I did earlier, just for those that are tuning in the last couple of minutes. So multiple reports claim that Christian Pulisic will start on the bench for Milan. When they say will start on the bench, I mean, yeah, it can confuse some people, but basically he will be benched against Feyenoord on Tuesday. So yeah, if that is the case, that does change my transfer plan slightly. Before I show you my graphics, you know, fancy, from the team selection video, let's just show a few different things. For those that play Predict 6, these are my predictions. I'll go through them one more time as we approach the deadline, but basically the most important one to lock in is AC Milan Feyenoord. I'm going for AC Milan 2, Feyenoord 1. And by the way, with Pulisic, and thank you to those that said that Pulisic might be benched, we're getting the lineup very soon. So once we get that confirmation, then we can make a decision on Pulisic. It looks like he won't start, and if that's the case, I'll be looking to offload him. Now, in a recent game, in a 2-0 win against Empoli, I think not last weekend, but the one before, Pulisic got 2 assists, but he has started a lot of games on the bench. I just did it myself. So yeah, that is far from ideal. Pulisic is potentially a sell in UCL Fantasy now, and I've gone for Bayern Munich 2, Celtic 0, and also a 2-0 win for Atalanta, but maybe I'll tweak some of them and regret the lost points by doing so. Next up, yeah, we'll show you the predicted lineups, which I haven't done before. Milan, Feyenoord, we can kind of skip a bit. They had Pulisic in it, but we'll get those lineups in an hour's time anyway, so no need to really dwell on that too much. Atalanta Club Brugge, they've gone for Karnaseci in goal, Posh, Jim City. Okay, there you go. For the Albanians out there, enjoy. Kolasinac, Belanova, Darun, Edison, Sapacosta, De Ketelare, Pasalic, and Retegui. So the players who are out include Hien, Kosunu, Maldini, Scalvini, and Scamacca. And in terms of those that are potential suspension risks, ignore that. It's not really too relevant. The only kind of possible consequence is if a certain team decides not to risk a player, maybe they take them off a little bit earlier, or they maybe are on the bench from the beginning, just to kind of avoid that potential suspension if they were to progress to the next round. But you can see it on screen anyway. With Club Brugge, they've gone for Mignolet, Seis, Ordóñez, so that's a Spanish name, I should know that, Michele, De Kuyper, Onyedika, Jashari, Taibi, Vanaken, Tozolis, Jukla. The only player out for Club Brugge is Meyer. And then you can see the doubtful and suspension risks as well, but no need to really go into those like I said. Benfica, Monaco, Trubin, Araujo, Antonio Silva, Otamendi, Carreras, Barreiro, Kokchu, Amdouni, Aktoglu, and Pavlidis with Schneiderdrop. What a name. I can't say it. Florentino is out through suspension. That could be actually quite detrimental to Benfica's clean sheet probabilities. Bar, Manu, Di Maria, Renato Sanchez, and Arsunis are all out. As for Monaco, Majeki, Diatta, Salisu, Carrere, Enrique, Aklioche, Kamara, Minamino, Benseguir, Mbolo, and Biref, the former Arsenal man, up front. As for those who are out, Al-Mozrati, who is suspended. The same goes for Vanderson and Sakaria. A lot of suspensions there for Monaco. Golovin, Balogun, and Magassa are all out due to injury, while Singo is doubtful. He is probably the best Monaco defender. He's got some big returns in there, but unfortunately, he is doubtful. As for Bayern Munich Celtic, according to UEFA.com, of course, and don't take this as gospel, they're quite good with predictions, but they might get a few wrong here and there. They've gone for Neuer in goal, Stanisic, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, and Guerrero, with Kimmich, Pavlovic, Elise, Musiala, Sane, and Kane. Peretz is the only player out, and that's pretty much it. With Celtic, Schmeichel, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, McGregor, Engels, Hatate, Kun, Maeda, Jota. They don't have Ida in here, if I'm not mistaken. They don't have him in there. And as you can see from the different lineups I've shown you, there are some conflicting reports, especially with the Bayern Munich backline. Is it Stanisic starting at right back, or is it Ito, or do they go for something a little bit different? I think Ito would be competing with Guerrero on the left-hand side. As for tomorrow's matches, which of course we won't get any clear-cut information, you could say, before the deadline, but Borussia Dortmund are likely going to go with Kobel, Ryerson, Emre Can, Schlotterbeck, Svensson, Sabitzer, Gross, Adeyemi, Brandt, Gittins, Garassi. The only player out for them is Nemecha, whilst Mane and Bensabani are doubtful. And yeah, with this Sporting lineup, they've gone for Trincao and Gyökeres, but both of them are out of the Sporting squad. So that will be, let's see if they've actually updated it. So let's see if they've updated anything else above. No, as far as I'm aware, no. Maybe point any out if you've seen a possible change. But yeah, in terms of other lineups, I think it's all good. Yeah, I think so. So with the Sporting one, let's go back to it. Reece Silva, Fresneda, Diomande, Gonzalo Inacio, Mateus Reis, Huylmund, João Simões, Giovanni Quenda, Araujo, Biel, and Conrad Harder. So the players who are out are Katomo, I'll call him Daniel. Bragança or something. It's Portuguese, I don't know. I should know it. Francisco Trincao is out. It says unspecified. I mean, it's probably just a rest. Same with Gyökeres, Morita, Nuno Santos, and Saint Juste. As for doubtful players, Pedro Gonçalves, And there's probably a Portuguese person typing as we speak saying, yeah, this is how you pronounce Daniel whatever. So, PSV Juventus, they've gone for Benitez, Ledesma, Flamingo, Obispo, Mauro Jr., Veerman, Till, Schuiten, Perisic, De Jong, Lang. The players who are out for the Dutch side include Boskagli, who was in my team once upon a time, Dest, Karsdorp, Pepe, and Tillman, who was really impressive in the league phase. The doubtful players include Obispo, due to fitness, and Till. As for Juventus, Di Gregorio, Weah, Gatti, Renato Vega, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Koopmeiners, Gonzalez, McKennie, Yildiz, and Kolomuani. The players who are out for Juventus include Bremer, Cabal, Kalulu, and Milik, whilst Douglas Luiz remains doubtful. We're approaching the end, don't worry. Then we'll go to other sources and then back to your questions. We still have a lot of time, of course. And then we'll cover the early lineup of AC Milan Feyenoord. So for Real Madrid, they are going for Courtois in goal, Valverde, Tchouameni, Asensio, Mendy, Ceballos, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius. But a lot of reports indicate Rudiger will start and Tchouameni moves into the midfield. The players who are out include Eder Militao and Carvajal. Doubtful players include Rudiger, but like I just mentioned, it looks like he is absolutely fine. Vasquez and Alaba, who is included in the Champions League squad. With Man City, Ederson, Rico Lewis, Stones, Diaz, Gvardiol, Nico Gonzalez, who had a great performance against Newcastle, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Savio, Haaland, and the hat-trick hero Marmoush. The players who are out include Akanji, who is out between 8 to 10 weeks, Oscar Bob, and Rodri. Doubtful players also involve Haaland, Ake, and Grealish, but Haaland should be available to play this game. He was spotted in training today as well, as reported by some of you in the live chat. And the final set of lineups include Paris Saint-Germain versus Brest, Donnarumma in goal, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, Doué, Vitinha, João Neves, Kangli, Dembele, and Barcola. The only player out for the Parisians is Zaire Emery, whilst Mbaye is doubtful. With Brest, they've gone for Bizot. Well, they could go for Bizot, Lala, Chardonnay, Koulibaly, Pereira Lage, Kamara, Lise Melou, Magnetti, Favre, Ajorc, Sima, and the only player out is Salah, but not Mohamed Salah, luckily for Liverpool fans. Doubtful includes Haidara, Del Castillo, and Martin. So those are all the predicted lineups, also kind of pretty much dusted off. I'm going to put a link in the live chat just for those that aren't able to get to this particular, well, really important source, I think. It collates all the information of suspension risks, those that are doubtful, and the likely starters, but of course they could get some things wrong here and there. I'll quickly gloss over the other kind of piece of news I went through already. So Kane was not seen with the team during the final training, but there's still no official update from the club. And I think company did address this later in the press conference on Monday. So yeah, Kane missed today's training as a precaution. He's expected to be available against Celtic, but a final decision will be made shortly before the game. So there is still a chance that Kane isn't available. As for Bayern Munich in general, because Kimmich didn't complete the final training session either, it looks like most of the Bayern Munich players that started in that 0-0 draw against Bayer Leverkusen only trained for 35 minutes. So it seems like a widespread issue there, or management from Vincent Kompany. This is another set of lineups which I did gloss over earlier, where I actually went through it in quite a lot of detail and somehow didn't read either properly up front for Celtic, but it's conflicting reports there. Some people say Jota will start, others say it will be Ida. And then, yeah, with this one, for example, as you can see here, a few different lineups for both Bayern Munich and Celtic. With Atalanta, both Kolasinac and Lookman are in the squad, which I'll show you very shortly. Hien is out. That is confirmed by Atalanta. He's not in the squad, which you can see on screen. That is the big absentee for the Italians, but big boost there with Kolasinac and Lookman. And Gasperini said yesterday, I'll highlight the quote here, Lookman and Kolasinac have recovered. In principle, Kolasinac will start and Lookman might come in during the second half. We will probably lose Hien on Monday. We did a final training session and he felt some fatigue in his adductor. So that is all the Atalanta news you need to know. As for Rudiger, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, he is available to start against Man City. Ancelotti said, we need to see how Valverde is feeling. He had a discomfort from the last match. Asensio could play out right back, but I think he's just trying to throw Pep Guardiola off. He also said Vasquez has not fully recovered yet, despite reports indicating that Vasquez took part in training today, actually. And this is Justin from reliable source. So Rodra on X So Rudiger and Asensio are expected to be the starting centre-backs tomorrow, which pushes Tchouaméni in midfield. And this is the Real Madrid list, which is official, confirmed by Los Merengues. As you can see, Alaba and Rudiger are back with the German international touted to start in centre-half alongside Raul Asensio. And finally, which people did point me towards, Pulisic will likely be on the bench and we'll get the lineups in half an hour, maybe 40 minutes time. And once we get that confirmation, I'll go through those lineups as well. But let's focus on our teams for now. I wouldn't make any transfers just yet. Let's just be patient. Once those early lineups are official, we can go through them and finalize our teams. But don't leave it to the last minute, of course. That is something I've done a lot of times and luckily gotten away with it on most occasions. So let's see if I've missed anything. Okay, that's all good. Thank you to those that have sent in super chats. Massively appreciated. And also the channel members in the house. Yeah, Pulisic, he's going to be in the squad, I think, but not in the starting 11. But don't worry too much about AC Milan or Feyenoord right now. Once we get those lineups, we can go through it. But I'll try to avoid questions about those two teams for now, because like I said, it will be kind of redundant. I think it's worth talking about the other teams in more detail. Yeah, Lookman just covered. He is fit, but he might not start the game, according to Gasparini. Should I keep Giatti? I'm guessing that's Gatti. Yeah, ball recovery machine. I think Juventus PSV will be 1-1, but Juventus got a 1-0 win against Inter Milan on Sunday, a massive victory which pushed them up to 4th in Serie A. Defensively, they're very resolute. So yeah, a lot of Pulisic questions in there. Hi Dylan, good to see you. Arthur. Pulisic to Marmoush then? Well, Marmoush is a forward, just like he is an FPL, so you wouldn't be able to make that transfer. So yeah, if you want to get Marmoush, you need to sell one of Vinicius, Kane, you know, these kind of players, which I wouldn't advise. What do you think about Pasalic? He's been really good recently in UCL Fantasy, returns in 3 consecutive games, but his minutes are all over the place. But maybe instead of Lookman, that could be the best Atalanta midfielder, actually, for Matchday 10. Chances of Dembele and Barcola not starting because PSG is basically through already. Well, Dembele was on the bench this weekend in a 1-0 win for PSG. I'd be surprised if Dembele didn't start. I mean, look, I get your point. And when you're kind of 3-0 up, you're cruising, you're going to the home tie, and you might have a similar thought about Borussia Dortmund versus Sporting, you could be a bit complacent, but I think they'll go quite strong and Dembele will start. I haven't played my wildcard yet, no. I played the Limitless back in Matchday 3, I believe, but the wildcard is still intact. I have no plans of using it now, unless all of a sudden in the next hour, Pulisic is benched, Harry Kane is out, and I've got a lot of fires to put out, and in that case, I could wildcard, but I would rather use it in the knockout stages now. Kokcu or Pasalic for good replacements? I think from those two, I'd rather go for Pasalic this week because with a Turkish international, he's been playing more of a defensive role recently. Thanks, Dylan. Not sure why I couldn't see the UEFA link. Yeah, it can be hard to find sometimes, especially when the match day is underway. I've had that issue myself. So yeah, no worries, and hopefully it is useful to you. Barcola por Yildiz o McKennie? Yo prefiero Yildiz antes que McKennie. Yo sé que McKennie hizo un gol en la jornada 9 contra PSV, pero sí, yo prefiero a Yildiz. Yeah, I think Bakayoko is worth keeping. That puts me off captaining him this match day, says average at FPL. Is this in relation to Dembele or somebody else? Kolasinac or Sappacosta? I'd rather go for Sappacosta. With Kolasinac, there is a chance his minutes are managed because he's just coming off the back of an injury. He has been out for over a month, so that is a bit risky in my opinion, but low owned and he was very good in the league phase. Best here in replacement, I don't know who you have, so it makes it very difficult to answer, but off the top of my head, I think Otamendi or Kim Min-jae would be great replacements. My favourite would be Kim Min-jae. Otamendi versus Upamecano this week. I'd favour Upamecano because I think Bayern Munich are more likely in terms of keeping a clean sheet. Speaking of which, let's actually go for some different graphics and stuff. So, for those that haven't seen my team selection video, this is kind of a breakdown of how I did in Matchday 9, and you can see the points on screen as they come along, but the main focus will be on the potential transfers, which aren't locked in yet, and then afterwards I'll show you my provisional Matchday 10 team, but it will all be locked in over an hour's time. I would not suggest copying, but I still think people will do it anyway. It is what it is. But I did captain Dembele last week, and it turned out to be very fruitful. Unfortunately, though, I had a few issues. So my front line was brilliant, but Pulisic, Musiala, Two of my defenders and Neuer all blanked, and unfortunately, I sold some very good Matchday 9 performers like Gatti, who got 11 points. I sold Donnarumma and Schlotterbeck just before the deadline. So those late changes actually caused a 20-point swing, not to mention Bellingham to Phil Foden, which wasn't too bad, but still not what you want to see. So yeah, those transfers were a bit costly in the end, but still very, very small red arrow of around a few hundred places, if that. But Foden to Bellingham is still on the agenda, so reversing my mistake from Matchday 9. And if Pulisic is benched, it might be him making way instead. And in terms of budget, I probably wouldn't be able to push towards Bellingham, actually. And if that's the case, I will likely go in a different direction. And the likes of Elise are on radar, but that would mean a different defender transfer, which I currently have penciled in. I would have to change that a little bit, but there are many different midfielders to choose from, although you could argue that some of them are less appealing than others. If I want to go differential, Bakayoko or possibly Igor Paxao would be next in line for me, and I think Bakayoko will be the most likely from my perspective, but I think Hien has to go. I mean, he is out for Matchday 10, that is confirmed, whilst Jim City will start. So Kim Min-jae would be the replacement as things stand. That could certainly change, though, once we get those early lineups for AC Milan and Feyenoord. So looking ahead to Matchday 10 with some of these provisional transfers in mind, my team would be like this with Bellingham and Kim Min-jae in the threshold. So Neuer in goal, very standard stuff. Jim City, Kim Min-jae and Hernandez in that defensive line. Dembele, Musiala, Pulisic and Bellingham completing the midfield. And then up front, the same front three of Guirassy, Kane and Vinicius. The bench is also quite strong with Di Gregorio, Hakimi, Barcola and Pacho. I personally have no kind of hesitation, no concerns of Guirassy or any of the PSG players being benched, despite the 3-0 lead they carry to the second leg. And with the captaincy, I know Harry Kane is a bit of a risk, but I am looking to go for him as my Tuesday captain. And for the Wednesday, I think the best option is Ousmane Dembele. So that is my current plan, and it was all covered in my team selection. So the only change you've really seen is instead of selling Jim City, I'm selling Hien because he's definitively ruled out, and I would like to keep one Atalanta defender, but Pulisic could be the one sold in my midfield, and I keep Phil Foden for another day. Let's also go to the odds, which were also covered in my team selection. I don't think anything has changed in this regard. So in terms of clean sheet odds, PSG are top with 51%. Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Atalanta and Dortmund complete the top 5, with Benfica, PSV, Real Madrid, Juventus, Sporting, Monaco, Club Brugge, Feyenoord, Man City, Brest and Celtic completing the rest of the teams in that order when you look at clean sheet odds. If there's anything you disagree with, let me know in the live chat. I mean, PSG being really high up there is surprising, but they also got it right for Matchday 9. I thought Brest would score 1 goal, and I was very wrong about that indeed. With the goal scorer odds, though, Harry Kane is top with 63%. This is assuming that all of these players start, by the way. Dembele, Mbappe, Jimenez and Barcola complete the top 5, with Vinicius, Pavlidis, Lookman, Haaland, Kvaratskhelia, Retegui, Musiala, Abraham, Pulisic and Sane finishing the top 15, actually, of this list. So hopefully these numbers are quite helpful to you. You can find them on UCL_fantasy on X, so it's very easy to find these. And yeah, it's a very good web page as well. They've got, I think it's Fantasy Football Community. That is the website. But let's actually go back to my UCL Fantasy team for now. Of course, none of the transfers have been made yet. Ian is still chilling in my starting 11. I'm well aware that he's out. It's been covered to death throughout this entire stream. So once we get the early lineups, that will be covered. But let's forget about that for a little while. So yeah, we are getting a lot of repeat questions about things. So let's just go through it one more time about Lookman and also Pulisic. So this is the quote by Gasperini. Lookman and Kolasinac are in the Atalanta squad whilst Hien is out. And Gasperini said, Lookman and Kolasinac have recovered in principle. Kolasinac will start and Lookman might come in during the second half. We will probably lose Hien. On Monday, we did a training session and he felt some fatigue in his abductor. So Hien is out, Lookman will be on the bench and Kolasinac will start. As for Pulisic, multiple reports indicate that he'll be on the bench. Don't ask too much about Pulisic if you can, because we're literally going to get the lineups in half an hour's time. So yeah, if you do ask about Pulisic, it's not going to be answered because it's been covered to death and we're getting the lineup anyway, so it's kind of redundant. So there you go. Let's go back to my UCL Fantasy team and stick with that for a little while. And let's see if we got some more questions to go through. Schlotterbeck for Hien, good choice. I do think Sporting can score without Gyökeres and Trincao, but those are massive blows for Sporting. I mean, you could argue they're going to be quite blunt in attack, at least compared to their usual selves. But Dortmund are terrible defensively. But Schlotterbeck, of course, got 8 points in matchday 9. He's a ball recovery machine. He was one of the best defenders last season. So he's a good replacement. I would just rather go for a few other options like Kim Min-jae. So yeah, Pulisic replacement if needed. I mean, Dembele is kind of an obvious one. If you don't have him, I'd make that a priority. Otherwise, you could look for a differential like Igor Paxal, Bakayoko, or Pasalic. That could work very well. If you want to take a risk, maybe Lookman, but just like Pulisic, he'll be on the bench, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to make that sort of move. I think Elise would be a great move as well. Even if it means a double or triple up in the Bayern Munich attack, that could work very well against Celtic. But I think my favourite would be Elise. Reinders or Pasalic? Pasalic for me. Just got done watching the team selection video, now I'm here. Thank you very much, Goldhead. And yeah, I just went through some of the graphics again, but just a bit of an update with the Gym City being, being held onto, you could say, and Hien making way. Yeah, sorry, Sean. Si puedes hacer pausa en el video y puedes ir de nuevo a los clean sheet odds. Callum Jr. says, evening Dylan, totally forgot my subs again with a 10-point Otamendi. Knew he was a good choice. Think it's a sign to focus on FPL. At least I'm doing well in that. Oh yeah, you're doing very well in that. That's putting it lightly. Top 15 in the world or something. So yeah, congratulations and keep it going. The Otamendi one is a bit annoying, but that's kind of one of the, how do we say this, the trademarks of UCL Fantasy. You've got to be micromanaging everything with the substitutions and changing of the captaincy. Sí, para mí va a jugar Haaland. Moani to Pavlidis or Akiloche to Bellingham, Foden, Elise. My favourite would be Pavlidis, actually. Abby Johnson says, should I sell Foden or Bellingham to fund getting Vinicius? I'd rather sell Foden. Adedayo says, okay, wait, what? No way Marmoush, too much risk for little reward. Yeah. I mean, look, he just scored a hat-trick. Very good finishes, but there are better forwards elsewhere for me. Gasperini Roulette, better than Pep Roulette. Maybe. But to be fair with Hien, he's out injured. Lookman has just come off the back of an injury, so it does make sense. Chance of Foden and Guerrero starting? I think Foden will start despite the fact he didn't in Matchday 9, which is a big surprise. Guerrero is kind of mixed bag. I'm not entirely sure about that. Some reports indicate it could be Ito on the left-hand side, or Ito. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to put a percentage on it, to be honest. I think Guerrero will start, but I'm kind of 60-40 on it myself. Ryan says, hi Dylan, best 5.9 million and under midfielder. Oof. There is someone in there. I mean, Gittins is still a solid choice. He has been quite disappointing, but still a decent choice overall. Let's get this definitively over with. My favourite right now, I think I would lean towards João Neves. So my top 3 right now for that price threshold you've mentioned. Yeah. I think Darun might be first. Gittin second and João Neves third. I know Reinders are still decent. If you want to go there, absolutely fine. He's very close to that list, but I think Darun might be my favourite. Retegui to Marmoush. I'd probably keep Retegui in this case or invest in Pavlidis. I get it, Marmoush is getting a lot of hype, he scored a hat-trick, and I would recommend an FPL, but not in UCL Fantasy right now. If Pulisic is benched, he definitely comes off the bench, so I see him as a keep, especially when I have the likes of Hien, De Ketelaere, and Barcola to consider. De Ketelaere is fine, he should start, no issues with that. Barcola, also in every single predicted lineup I've seen. I mean, could PSG bench him? Yeah, they could, but yeah, I get your point. It's not clear-cut. The thing is with Pulisic, though, he has come off the bench in a lot of games recently in Serie A. Leandro Pereira, differential? Possibly. I'll be honest, I won't recommend him myself for people looking to invest, but I don't think he's a terrible pick. Crown says, who would you sell as a priority, Barcola or Pulisic? Probably Pulisic. I mean, with Barcola, he's been quite disappointing, at least in Matchday 9, but I still think he starts. Gatti or Pacho? I'd rather go for Pacho this week. Good day, Dylan. Would you gamble on Vinicius to Mbappe? I wouldn't sell one to the other. And let's actually break it down a little bit. Vinicius has over 25 more points than Mbappe this season. The Frenchman has, what, 6 and 5 pointers all season round, whilst Vinicius is getting 10 plus points regularly. So I don't really think it's worthwhile. I know Mbappe's got the form, 11 goals in the last 10 games, whilst Vinicius has 3. But in the Champions League, it's the Brazilian stepping up time after time again. By Pavlidis or Jimenez, Pavlidis for me. Kane is a doubt. He should be fine though. It's going to be a late decision by Bayern Munich, so it does add to the chaos that we're seeing right now. Is it worth getting Neuer if I already have Donnarumma? I think it's ultimately better to make transfers elsewhere. With the goalkeepers, you're not going to see a massive ceiling, although in my case I sold Donnarumma and paid the price in Matchday 9, but you don't need to buy Neuer if you've got Donnarumma already, and you might have a decent goalkeeper on the same day as Neuer anyway, but if you're happy with the rest of your team and you don't know what to do, yeah, I think buying Neuer is fine. He's the best Tuesday goalkeeper in my opinion. Retegui for Vinicius or Mbappe, Hien for Otamendi. Yeah, Otamendi's a good transfer in, but like I mentioned earlier, Florentino is suspended, which I think will probably decrease the chances of a Benfica clean sheet. If I had to pick one of Vinicius or Mbappe to sell, it's probably Mbappe, but I'll be honest, I just keep what you have. I wouldn't recommend that. Neuer to Di Gregorio, I'm guessing that is, and Pulisic to Musiala. Need to remove a Bayern player to add one. I have Majestic playing today. Majeki, I'm guessing that is. Yes, fair enough. The thing is, though, I don't see Majeki keeping a clean sheet, and you're selling the best Tuesday goalkeeper. I completely get the temptation to buy Musiala, but I'm not entirely sure about this. Hien replacements, yeah, that's been covered a lot. Kim Min-jae is my favourite, but you might have him already. Barcola to Elise, solid move, I like that. I think it's an upgrade. Yeah, I'd mention that as well, Goldhead, with Borussia Dortmund and PSG players. I don't think they'll rotate too much, as people are suggesting. I mean, PSG, for example, they rested Dembele this weekend. He came on as a substitute. And Dortmund, yeah, they went strong. They lost 2-0 to Bochum. Guirassy missed 3 big chances, but if they rotate a bit too much, they can still get beat by Sporting, and it might get very dicey. I wouldn't buy Kvaratskhelia personally. He was benched in Matchday 9. And in terms of goals and assists, he's not the most consistent player. I'd rather go for Dembele. When you're comparing Barcola and Kvaratskhelia, it might be close, but I'd still favour Barcola, actually. Hola, Dylan, Pavlidis o Kane para capitán. Harry Kane para mí. Hay dudas de Harry Kane. Es posible que no va a jugar, pero habrá una decisión bastante tarde antes del partido, pero sí, para mí Harry Kane es mejor. Musiala or Lookman? Yeah, Musiala. Lookman will probably not start, as covered before. Adeyemi or Bellingham? Bellingham. Pulisic or Lookman? Both of them will likely be benched. I'd probably favour Lookman. Rainey says, hey Dylan, if I own Donnarumma and not Neuer, should I triple up on Bayern and get Elise or do Rodrigo to Vinicius? I'd probably just get Elise in this case. Zappacosta or Jim City? Zappacosta. Pacho or Kim Min-jae Upamecano? Kim Min-jae. I don't think it's worth a hit to get Otamendi. Best Wednesday goalkeeper? So that was covered in the comment section of my best wildcard team and also in that video as well. So my favourite Wednesday goalkeeper is probably Donnarumma. Kind of boring, I know, but that's the way I'd look at it. Most of the great options are on Tuesday, actually. In second place, I'd probably go for Kobel. And in third, Di Gregorio. Let's see. All right. I'll have a look as well in terms of how we're doing in terms of subscriber count. We are 44 away from getting to 32,000 subscribers, so let's reach that milestone by the end of the deadline stream. It'd be greatly appreciated, and a massive thanks to those that have subscribed, also supported the channel through super chats, super thanks, members and patrons. You're all massively appreciated, and yeah, only a matter of time before we reach that goal. And in terms of likes, let's get this up to 300 plus. We do have almost 900 people watching. These UCL Fantasy streams always are quite hectic to say the least, but everything is covered for the Champions League. Yep, Hien is out 100%. Pavlidis, Haaland or De Ketelaere? This week, I prefer Pavlidis. Jorge says, hola Dylan, llegué tarde, no sé si has hablado de Hien. Sí, no está en el, no va a jugar. Ya está descartado. y Atalanta pusieron la alineación o, ¿cómo se dice? El plantillo o la plantilla y no está Hien. Hey Dylan, still got my Limitless left, but would rather use it before matchday 12 rather than now because free players will be more expensive by then. Because players will be more expensive by then. What do you think about it? Yeah, I'd rather use the Limitless or Wildcard later in the competition. I mean, I've been very consistent. I mean, I've said Limitless matchday 2 to 7 is the preference. Otherwise, use it later in the season. So yeah, I get that. And you won't get another increase to your budget. We already just got it now with the 5 million. So it's quite easy to build the ideal matchday 9 and 10 squad. Captain Kane or Garassi? Harry Kane. Hien replacement for 5 million or less? Otamendi would be up there. Yeah, Hien is an easy sell because he's not playing. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. It's Spanish. Hola Dylan, Kane o Pablo Diaz para capitán? Harry Kane. Buenas Dylan, Pulisic o Lookman? Lookman. Ambos van a estar en el banco, así que yo prefiero otros. Lookman starts. Nope. Pulisic won't play. He's going to be on the bench. Let's not talk about Pulisic too much, please, because we're getting the lineups very soon. Kane is fit. There is a doubt about him, but I think he will be available. Yeah, exactly that, Goldhead. If he is benched in the Ajax, but it is what it is. Hien is out with an abductor injury. It's been covered many times in this video, so let's go for some different things. It's just the way Argentinians and Uruguayans pronounce double L's. So instead of pollo, as the Spaniards would say, we say pollo. It's kind of just the way we speak. Gatti or Pacho? Pacho. Upamecano versus Schlotterbeck? Upamecano. Elise or Pasalic? Elise. Janko says Kim Min-jae, Pulisic, Zappacosta, Elise. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the... Are you saying Kim Min-jae and Pulisic versus Zappacosta and Elise? In that case, I prefer the latter because Pulisic will likely be benched. We'll go through that very soon. Yeah, Upamecano is fine, but there is a chance he doesn't start. It was Kim Min-jae rested last time out. Maybe it's Upamecano this time round, but yeah, he's absolutely fine if you back him to be in the 11. Who do you suppose is the best replacement for Rui Patricio? So yeah, on the Tuesday, the best goalkeepers would be Neuer, Carnesecchi, and I would say Trubin in third. Magnan will be probably fourth, I think. So yeah, I think Neuer or Carnesecchi for you, depending on your budget. Yeah, Valanderdon, Gasperini himself said that Lookman will probably come on as a substitute. So it's up to you what you really think. If you think Lookman starts, go for him. I think he's a great option, but I don't think he does. Kim Min-jae or Upamecano? Kim Min-jae. Sell Bernardo or Gyökeres? Gyökeres is out. He's not in the squad, so I'd sell him. Who to? Pavlidis. Dylan, ¿qué opinas Jiménez por Pavlidis? ¿Y Foden o Pulisic por Elise? Me gusta mucho Pavlidis, pero Jiménez está bien. No creo que hay necesidad de venderlo. Y en el caso de Foden o Pulisic por Elise, para mí Pulisic no va a empezar el partido, pero espera un poquito porque ya veremos la alineación de AC Milan y si no está Pulisic en el equipo, si está en el banco, lo puedes vender y Olise está muy bien. Thoughts on Milan? Not a great team, and with their options, Pulisic will likely be benched. We'll see very soon. Hernandez has been very poor in terms of UCL Fantasy output, so we'll wait and see. But I think they'll go through. It might go to extra time and penalties. I've gone for 2-1 AC Milan. Yeah, Zappacosta's a fine option. Otamendi or Schlotterbeck for Hien? Probably Otamendi. I think both Benfica and Dortmund concede though. Thoughts on De Ketelaere to Pavlidis? Josh think his ceiling is way higher. Well, I actually think the opposite. I think De Ketelaere has a higher ceiling than Pavlidis, but of course the Greek striker scored a hat-trick against Barcelona fairly recently. But yeah, this week I do prefer Pavlidis. I just think De Ketelaere's ceiling is very high anyway. Garassi for Pavlidis. I would probably keep Garassi, but Pavlidis is a very good option. The reason why I say that is because Garassi hasn't blanked in the Champions League this season. It's very difficult for me to say, yeah, sell the guy who hasn't blanked in the Champions League. Could he do it in Matchday 10? Absolutely, but he's still a great option. I prefer Pavlidis over Garassi this Matchday, but like I just mentioned, if you've got Garassi, I wouldn't be looking to sell. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you easy 99, but they rested quite a few players on Saturday and got the job done in Ligue 1. Thomas Araujo as an option, 4.1 million. Is he fit? Yes, he is going to start right back, it seems. All the predicted lineups do indicate that. Ivans, you did ask that question. It was highlighted. I would go for Kim Min-jae. Thank you, Lager, for moderating the chat. Massively appreciated. Otamendi and Elise or Kim Min-jae and Adeyemi? Otamendi and Elise. Retegui or Pavlidis? I'd go for the latter, Pavlidis. Foden or Elise? Elise. Bellingham or Elise? I think this match day I would favour Elise. Would you take a hit to get a playing goalkeeper? No. I get what you mean though, because you'd be down to 10 men. So from that perspective, I get it. But if you don't get a clean sheet, you're basically down on points, right? And in the worst case scenario, I mean, yeah, if you're talking about penalty saves and stuff and player of the match, that would be a massive swing, which is very unlucky. But in most cases, you only miss out on the possibility of 2 free points. So I don't think it's worth the risk personally, but that's just my opinion. Pasalic or Lookman? Probably Pasalic because Lookman will likely not start. Pavlidis is the Benfica striker. He scored a hat-trick against Barcelona. He's returned in the last couple of games, actually, against Juventus and also Benfica. Against Benfica, that's his club. Against Monaco on 2 occasions this season. Yep, Lookman's on the squad, mate. It's been covered many times. And let's see if the lineup is out for AC Milan, so we can finally put an end to the Pulisic questions at least. Although people will ask about the best replacements, which I do get. So yeah, we do have confirmation of these lineups. Let's go to UEFA.com. So yeah, for some reason I don't have this here. Let's get this up. So yeah, a bit of suspense, but yeah, Pulisic, not great news with him, it seems. So it is true, the reports were correct. Actually, no, they weren't. Pulisic is starting. So yeah, that's great. Pulisic can stay. That's nice. So yeah, Jimenez, Rafael Leao, Pulisic, Reinders, Magnan, Hernandez, Theo, Pavlovic, Walker, Joao Felix, and Musa is the starting 11 for AC Milan. But a lot of reports indicated that Pulisic wasn't going to start. So they got it wrong. With Feyenoord, not really anything, surprising. Yeah, Igor Paxal, of course, is the main one to look out for. And he's my favourite Feyenoord option. I would not be recommending the defenders or the goalkeeper, despite the clean sheet in the reverse leg, because they've got the worst defence left in the Champions League. I think AC Milan will score some goals here. I've gone for 2-1 for the Rossoneri. But yeah, that is the big news. Pulisic starts. So you can forget what I talked about with that report. But I still thank those that, mentioned it, because I wasn't aware of Pulisic being a doubt. But he is there. And we can see your thoughts in the live chat. I'll leave it up for a little while longer, and then afterwards I'll go back to other questions. Yeah, Pulisic starting. That's good, because I didn't want to sell him, to be honest. Max07 says W. People are getting excited. So yeah, just for the record, by the way, I wasn't saying Pulisic will be benched, but those reports seem reliable, and I thought, oh, maybe he is going to be benched after all, but thankfully he isn't. That's why I've been saying for the last half an hour, to wait for the lineup, and then we can make an informed decision. Sí, Pulisic confirmado en la alineación. Sí, para mí está bien mantenerlo. Es una buena opción para la jornada 10, perdón. Haaland to Retegui or Vinicius. I already have Kiki. Kiki? Kiki. Sorry, I'm kind of baffed here. Or confused, let's say. In terms of your first question, I'd rather go to Vinicius. Also, Musiala and Elise double up. Absolutely fine. If there's one midfield I'd like to double up on this week, it's probably Bayern Munich. Hola Dylan, tengo a Kane, Musiala y Neuer, Olise o Kim. Está cerca. Yo prefiero a Kim Min-jae. Nuno and Otamendi for Hien and Theo. Yeah, good transfers. But I would argue Theo Hernandez might be worth keeping despite his poor output this season. I think a clean sheet is possible against Feyenoord this time round. So yeah, a lot of people are surprised by the lineup and Pulisic starting. I probably wouldn't do that. I like Pavlidis a lot this week, but selling Kolomwani for a -4? Probably not. Matt says reports in the bin. Yeah, but it's still worth mentioning it. And, they do get things wrong sometimes. Maybe the Pulisic thing was a late decision made today. Dylan, best Hien replacement? Kim Min-jae. Do you get points for goals scored during extra time and penalty shootouts? Not penalty shootouts, but yes, in extra time. It's in the rules, which was covered in my How to Play UCL Fantasy Guide, but of course that was a few years ago. It's pretty much the exact same now, and the different, or the extended format, the changes that we've seen this season are all addressed in my chip strategy video as well. Borislav Ivanov says, hi Dylan, would you replace Hien for a -4? Already have Gatti, Kim Min-jae, Hakimi and Schlotterbeck. I'm not sure if I'd take a -4 here. If you've got 14 solid players in your 50-man squad, essentially 13 outfielders, or in this case 12, I think that's absolutely fine. But let's think about it. Could a hit to Nuno Mendes, perhaps even Otamendi work? I think it could. You know what? I'd probably take the plunge, and in your case, I'd recommend one of Nuno Mendes or Otamendi, I think. Yeah, there aren't many defenders I'd take a hit for, but those are pretty solid. Ventislav says, "Hi Dylan, I want to replace Moani and need to replace Hien. What duo would you suggest? I have 0 million in the bank. That means after selling them, I will have exactly 12 million. The rest of my team is much like yours." Okay, so 0 million in the bank. Okay. I would suggest Pavlidis for Kolomuani. And just to have a clear idea. So, yeah, that gives you more money to spend, actually. 0.6 million more. Then you can do Hien to... I mean, I don't know who you have, which makes this a bit difficult to answer, but I think Otamendi or Kim In-jae. My preference is Kim In-jae, so that is my answer. Kim from Bayern Munich, and up front, I would go for Pavlidis. Jimenez or Leao? Jimenez. Foden to Bellingham or Elise? I prefer Elise this week. What do you think De Ketelaere will do? I think he'll score, but difficult to say, of course. Even Pulisic starts, do you swap him for Elise? I'm still going to keep him, I think. Is Dembele going to lay? In what way? I'm joking. Yeah, I think Dembele can score. I think he's going to start, by the way. You know, on Saturday, he was on the bench. He came on as a substitute. I'd be shocked if he wasn't in that lineup, despite the 3-0 lead they have. Thank you for a good stream, everyone. Leave a like. Thank you, Bacon. Bellingham or Foden? Bellingham. So yeah, as covered already, Andrea, I would go for Jimenez. The Flox93 says, would you keep Foden or take a hit for Elise or Adeyemi? I'd keep Foden. Parik says, Hien, Foden to Gatti. Dembele for free. All right, okay, so yeah, Hien and Foden to Gatti and Dembele. Yeah, looks good. I still don't mind doubling up on Bayern Munich or Atalanta defensively, though, but if you want to diversify things, I get it. Otamendi's another choice for you instead of Gatti, but yeah, good moves. Sí, Luis, Gyökeres está descartado. Lo mismo con Francisco Trincao. Yo prefiero a Jiménez antes que Haaland para la jornada 10, pero Pavlidis es mi favorito para este partido. Jimenez or Garassi? I mean, overall it's Garassi, right? But I think this week is close. I would maybe favour Jimenez, actually, which might be a controversial one. Thank you, Aaron. So let's go through these super chats. Foden to Bellingham or Moani to sub 8 million striker? That is a great question. I'd probably favour Colin Moani to Pavlidis, for example. So that is my preference there. Let me know what you think. We can discuss that in more detail, but it's a close one. Paredes says PSG to rest players. They could rest in the odd position here or there, but I think they'll go quite strong. The same goes for Borussia Dortmund. I'd be surprised if Dembele, for example, was benched. He was on Saturday, so why would he be benched again when he's in so much great form and fantastic rhythm? I think PSG can win 2 or 3-0 again, or 2 or 3-1. Dembele scores a hatful of goals or gets some goal contributions and continues this hot streak. So, yeah, Colin Moani and Hien replacements, a bit similar to what I said in Spanish, I think, just now. Maybe I'm getting confused. But I would say Pavlidis and Kim In-jae are very solid replacements, actually. Thank you to Sasko Reacts 2. I have Guerreiro and Hien. Other defenders are Hakimi, Gatti, and Zappacosta. Take a -4 to sell one of the first two or not? Yeah, great question. Guerreiro is in some predicted lineups, but not others. So there isn't a guarantee he starts, which is why I didn't buy him in the Matchday 9 deadline stream. I would sell Hien. He is out. You know, there's no chance of him playing. At least with Guerreiro, there is the opportunity that he is in that lineup. So I would sell Hien for a hit reluctantly. So you've got Hakimi, Gatti, Sappacosta, and Guerrero. I would potentially look at Otamendi, or perhaps doubling up on one defense, which could be Kim Min-jae and Bayern Munich. Maybe you can go in that direction. Or Nuno Mendes / Marquinhos for Paris Saint-Germain. It all depends on which team you back for a clean sheet. And I did go for the clean sheet odds earlier, and I'll probably go for it one more time. But Bayern Munich and PSG are the top two teams. I think the Parisians are actually in number one in that spot. So, yeah, that is what I'd recommend to you. Sell Hien for a Bayern Munich, PSG defender, or perhaps Otamendi instead. Yeah, Hien is out with an abductor injury. I'll go through that one more time. I do understand some people are tuning in late, but we have covered it already. Haaland out to Van Dembele and Elise. I would be taking a -4. I'm not a big fan of selling Haaland or a player of that caliber for a hit. I love the transfers in. Dembele and Elise, fantastic, but not so sure about that. Who would you buy to replace Haaland? That would be my question. Is it Vinicius, Pavlidis, Garassi? I'd be interested to see. I prefer Pasalic because Lookman will probably not start. I'm definitely buying Elise. Which one to take out? KDB or Barcola? I'd rather sell KDB. Gatti and Hien out for Sappacosta and Kim Min-jae. Looks good to me. I don't think you need to sell Gatti though. He can still get you 4 or 5 points even without a clean sheet. Who'd you captain tonight? As covered many times today and in recent videos, probably Harry Kane, but he is doubtful, so it is a risk. Easy99 says, no way Pulisic not starting unless he's not fit, especially Milan 1-0 down. Well, yeah, it's just in recent games, he has been benched a lot in Serie A. I still have Limitless. Should I play it this week? I can't really tell you, mate, because I don't know your team. Do you have a lot of fires to put out? I think if you do, then it justifies the Limitless, but in your case, you might want to save it for later in the campaign, but I don't know your team. Callum Jr. says, can't help myself. Doing my team, it's like an addiction. Thinking Colomwani to Jimenez and maybe Gittins to Adeyemi. Not sure I made the right choice last week. Don't want a Milan double in the attack. Oh, definitely not. I would not be recommending that. Despite how poor Feyenoord are defensively, and maybe this ages like milk, I still don't think, logically speaking, you'd want to double up on AC Milan and not Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG, etc. Paxao over Barcola or Pasalic over Barcola? Because of the fixture, I might lean towards Pasalic, but Igor Paxao has been brilliant. Franz says, hi Dylan, best Foden replacement. Have Dembele, Bellingham, Musiala and Elise. Yeah. I would be looking at the likes of Igor Paxao, Bakayoko, maybe Pasalic. These options could really work for you. Yeah. I think that's what I'd probably do. And you know what? I know AC Milan are poor, but Pulisic could be a decent shout for you. If you really want to get rid of Foden, I'd probably go for Pulisic. I think Kane will start, but he is doubtful. Retegui for Haaland, I'm not so sure about that. And I think Haaland starts, by the way. He was in training this morning. Hien out for Kim Min-jae and Foden out for X. Okay, yeah, Kim Min-jae, great transfer in. Foden out. That's been covered just a few minutes ago. The best replacements for him. Dembele, if you don't have, I'd definitely make that a priority. And then one of Musiala or Elise, even if it means doubling up on Bayern Munich offensively or tripling up. Paxao over Barcola, yeah, covered. Is Hien playing? No, he's not. Who to get in? Kim Min-jae. Paxao, Pulisic or Bellingham? I would go for Bellingham overall. Jimenez or Pavlidis? Pavlidis. Jaime, Schlotterbeck or Sappacosta? Sappacosta. Yeah, I think Barcola starts. Yeah. Gracias, FP Oliver. Adeyemi or Elise for Pulisic? I prefer Elise, but Pulisic is starting. I wouldn't be selling him. So basically, my least favourite is Adeyemi from those three. Kobel should start, yeah. I'm guessing you're talking about Haaland, right? Or Holland. Did Holland play today? I'm not sure what you're getting at, but Haaland was in training, if that's what you're asking. Mbappe, Kane, Garassi, or Vinicius, Kane, Icardi. Icardi, yeah. It would be Mbappe, Kane, Garassi. I think you got Icardi confused with Retegui, maybe, or something like that. Sell Barcola for Elise. Yeah, if you can do that, I'd probably suggest it. If Musiala and Hien and De Ketelaere out for Elise and Otamendi and Pavlidis -4. I'm not sure why you'd sell Musiala for a hit. He has been disappointing recently, but it's not really something I'd recommend. I'm guessing you'd fund other moves by making that switch, but yeah, Musiala to Elise, I'd avoid that. I'd keep what you have. Hien and De Ketelaere to Otamendi and Pavlidis, absolutely fine, but even the last transfer, De Ketelaere could do very well, but I would not be selling Musiala to Elise for a hit. If Kane doesn't start, should I captain Elise or Pulisic? Well, you won't know that before the deadline, unfortunately, but from those two, I prefer Elise. ¿Qué pasó con Foden? ¿Voy llegando? Nada pasó con él, pero es que mucha gente lo quiere vender. Guerrero for Hien? I wouldn't be going for Guerrero. He is a rotation risk. He might not even start. ¿A quién pones de capitán hoy? Probablemente Harry Kane, pero hay dudas de él y puede ser que no va a empezar el partido. So yeah, let's go for the updates one more time, but sorry, I'm not going to go for them probably another time because then it will get very repetitive, but these are the updates. Predicted lineups, I covered them already. You can rewind the stream. These are others that you can see from other sources. So this one, for example, doesn't have Guerrero in the starting 11, but then you go to this one, according to Build, or Bild, however you call them, I don't know the pronunciation for them. Guerrero will be on the left-hand side. So that is something that I would rather avoid if possible. Both Lookman and Kolasinac are in the squad, and I reported this in my recent videos. And yeah, Isak Hien is out for 3 weeks, so he is not in the squad, which you can see now on screen. So Kolasinac and Lookman are confirmed in, but hold your horses on Lookman because Gasperini said this: Lookman and Kolasinac have recovered in principle. In principle, Kolasinac will start and Lookman might come in during the second half. So with Lookman, he's going to be a substitute. I would avoid him if possible. He did make one cameo off the bench this season in the Champions League and he got a big return, but you'd still rather go for starters, of course. But Kolasinac is going to be in that lineup alongside Jim City and probably Posh, I think, as the centre-halves. We'll probably lose Hien on Monday. We did a final training session and he felt some fatigue in his abductor, which of course has also been addressed. Rudiger is available to start against City, and Ancelotti said we need to see how Valverde is feeling. He had a discomfort from the last match. Asensio could play at right back. Lucas Vazquez is not fully recovered yet, despite the fact he was training yesterday. Actually, it might have been today. And then with this, Justin, according to a reliable journalist in Spain, Rudiger and Asensio are expected to start at centre-back tomorrow, while Tchouameni will be in the midfield. And this is the Real Madrid official squad. Rudiger and Alaba are in it, with the Austrian centre-back Alaba on the bench, and Rudiger will likely start. And then with this one, we can ignore it because Pulisic is in the lineup. We covered that already. So as you can see, with AC Milan one more time, Maignan is in goal. Walker, Tomori, Pavlovic and Theo Hernandez complete the defensive line, with Musa and Reinders in midfield. Pulisic, Joao Felix, Rafael Leao and Jimenez complete AC Milan's best potential starting 11 and attack they could go for. So that is all covered. Igor Paxao is my favourite Feyenoord option. If you want to go differential, that is a very decent shout indeed. But let's go back to my team, and in a short while, I'll start locking in my transfers. But what I want to do is put a poll out and see what you lot think, because I think Pulisic will stay in my team. I will focus on selling one of Barcola or Phil Foden, I think, instead. Those two on the chopping block in the midfield. As good as Pavlidis and other forwards look this week, I'm quite happy with what I have. So really, for me, it's Hien out and one midfielder, and that will complete the knockout playoff rounds. We'll see if those transfers go well. One more thing to note is that most of my players are actually at home, which is very enticing. It's what you want to see. Basically, Di Gregorio is my only away player. Everyone else is at home, so I would expect a green arrow, hopefully. Let's not jinx it, Dylan. But yeah, I'm more optimistic about Matchday 10, despite the massive swings from those late transfers out I did in the last deadline stream. So hopefully we don't get a repeat of that this time round. I'm not sure if Bellanova will play. You know, it's probably worth going to the predicted lineup for this question again, because I can't remember exactly if he was in that. And of course, take this with a pinch of salt. With Atalanta, yeah, Bellanova is in this lineup. And Zappacosta is as well. Yeah, I'd expect him to start, to be fair, but it's not a guarantee. Either way, my favourite defender is probably Zappacosta, followed by Jim City. Kolasinac will be a massive differential, but I'd be a bit concerned about his minutes because he's just coming off the back of a lengthy injury over a month, so it is a bit risky to go for that sort of thing. Aranya says, how's Guirassy not essential? Well, I don't think Guirassy's essential because you've got so many great forwards up front. Erling Haaland scored a brace in matchday 9. Pavlidis got 9 points as well. Vinicius Jr. got 11. Mbappe scored. So that's why I don't think Guirassy's essential. But that's why when people also ask me, should I sell Guirassy to get, let's say, Pavlidis, I say no, because he hasn't blanked this season in the Champions League. Kolo Muani to him for free? Yeah, I think that's a great move. Having said that, if I'm buying a striker this week, I'd probably look towards Vinicius, Kane if he's fit, and I think he will be, and Pavlidis. That's my favourite front three for matchday 10, but Guirassy is probably an upgrade on Kolo Muani. That's the way I look at it, to be fair. Yeah, Kolasinac will start, literally just covered. If Kane doesn't work, who can be captain for day 2? I'm looking at Dembele. Yeah, is Kane starting? I think he will, but it's going to be a late decision. It's literally just covered. Rewind, pause, feel free to do what you want, but it's all covered. Would you sell Kolo Muani or Foden? I'd rather sell Phil Foden from those two, but it's close. Hey Dylan, how are you, mate? Lookman or Barcola? Lookman will likely be on the bench, so probably Barcola. Foden or Paxao? Foden. Not by much, though. Keep Barcola or Pulisic and trade one of them for Elise. I would rather keep Pulisic because we know he's going to start. With Barcola, there are some doubts, of course. I think he will start, but it's a bit risky. Yeah, Barcola to Elise looks good. I'd recommend that. Schlotterbeck or Kim Min-jae? I'd go for the latter. Kim Min-jae. Yep. Hien is injured. Lookman won't start, in my opinion. Is Barcola out? No, he's not out. Musiala or Elise for him? I'm not sure where people are getting this Barcola out. It's just a lot of people are a bit unsure if he's going to start or not. I think he will, but if you have seen any injury updates or something, then leave a link in the live chat and we can go through it. But I think Elise and Musiala are great replacements for him. Retegui to Santiago Jimenez. I'd probably keep Retegui, but not a bad idea. Another question we've got. Let's see if I can get to it. The Nelson2524 says, pensaba vender a Kolo Muani por Pavlidis y a Hien por Otamendi. Sería muy arriesgado dejar a Barcola y a Foden. Yo creo que ambos van a empezar el partido, especialmente Foden. Sí, siempre hay riesgos en UCL Fantasy, pero está bien lo que está haciendo. Pavlidis y Otamendi son buenas transferencias, así que no tengo problema con lo que está haciendo. Zappacosta and Elise or Kim Min-jae and Barcola? Zappacosta and Elise is better. Assuming you missed the last deadline with the same team you had, would you wildcard today or just take the hits on transfers? Well, in this case, I'd wildcard, yeah. You do get unlimited transfers for matchday 11, by the way, so that's why you can just wildcard now and focus fully on the knockout playoff rounds. Who's the best Foden replacement playing today? Maybe Pulisic would be up there, but my favourite is Elise. Of course, if you don't have Musiala, that is also another one. So we do have 50 minutes left until the deadline. Let's be sure to lock in our teams very soon. And yeah, towards the end, I'll probably do a shout out to all the patrons and channel members. Our aim is actually to get to 32,000 subscribers today. We are very close to achieving that milestone. So right now, we are literally 5 away. So yeah, thank you to those that have showed support to the channel. It's always massively appreciated. Let's see if I can actually set this up for later. Maybe not. Okay, I'll leave that for later then. Not letting me sign into certain websites, but we'll think about that later. All right, let's whiz through some different questions. Haaland should be fine. He had a little knock against Newcastle. I'm keeping Neuer then. I'd definitely suggest that if possible, but I understand your situation because you want to get an attacker as well. Hey Dylan, have one free transfer left. Would you transfer out Retegui to Pavlidis Guirassy or Haaland to Vinicius Jr.? I prefer Vinicius out of those conundrums. Recomiendas Araujo from Benfica? Yeah, look, he's 4.1 million. He's a decent option, so I'm not against that. It's just, with Benfica, my favourite defender is Otamendi, and you've also got Trubin in goal, but yeah, in terms of value, that's a very good pick. Is Barcola going to play? I think so. He entered Kim Min-jae, looks good. I'm looking at something similar. Would you transfer out Foden? If so, for who? I don't know who you have, but Dembele is the priority. I would also be looking at one of Musiala or Elise as well. Guirassy, in, I'm guessing that's saying. Yeah, good transfer in, but I do prefer Pavlidis if you're buying one fresh. Musiala or Jude? Musiala. Bellingham or Elise? I'd go for the latter, Elise. Gatti to Kim Min-jae or Barcola to Elise? Yeah, my favourite transfer here would be Gatti to... Nah, you know what? No, sorry, because Gatti's pretty decent. Barcola to Elise is my favourite. Let's not forget, though, Barcola is in the top 5 highest, was it, likely goal scorers if he starts, of course. So let me just go to that one more time. So yeah, this is the clean sheet odds. Brest and Celtic are the bottom 2 teams, so you can ignore them in the top kind of brackets of this list. PSG, Bayern Munich, Milan, Atalanta and Dortmund are the top 5 most likely teams to keep a clean sheet. And with goal scorers, Kane, Dembele, Mbappe, Jimenez and Barcola are the top 5 according to UCL_Fantasy. Vinicius, Pavlidis, Lookman, Haaland, Kvaratskhelia, Retegui, Musiala, Abraham, Pulisic and Sane complete this top 15 list. But this is with the assumption that these players start. Otherwise, the figures will look very, very different. Let me put it that way. So, yeah, we'll go back now to my team. And hopefully, for those that missed the odds earlier, they can see it now. Best replacement for Hien and Barcola, Kim Min-jae, and in the midfield, Dembele. If you've got him already, then one of Musiala or Elise. Guirassy to Mbappe, I'd keep Guirassy. Yeah, Jim City should start. Isn't there a chance for Dembele to be rested? He was benched on Saturday. So, yeah, you're right, there could be a chance, but I'd be very surprised if Dembele, the most informed attacker in Europe, was benched in 2 consecutive games. It doesn't make much sense to me. If I go for Barcola to Elise, can't do Kim Min-jae. Well, then in that case, you could maybe go for Otamendi in the defensive line or double up on PSG with Nuno Mendes or Marquinhos. Or perhaps in the midfield, you go for Pulisic, for example. There are different ways of going about it. My favourite would probably be Kim Min-jae and then going for Pulisic. Best replacement for Hien and Barcola? Yeah, just covered. Retegui and Musiala to Vinicius and Elise. Says China buy. Yeah, good transfers to be fair. It's just the players you're selling are still very solid choices. Retegui is in the predicted lineup for Atalanta. And Musiala. I get what you're doing there. You're funding the Vinicius move by downgrading Musiala, but I'm just not entirely sure. I'd probably lean towards yes, but it could go the other way. I'd rather use the wildcard later in the competition, but in some cases, you might have a lot of fives to put out, and wildcarding gives you a lot of opportunities to maximize points this week, so you might see a 20-30 point swing. So it's difficult to say. I don't know your team, but I'd rather use the wildcard later. Theo or Kim? Kim Min-jae. What are the odds that Kane doesn't play? I'm not sure what the odds would be, but it is doubtful. I think it's probably 70-30, maybe even 60-40 that he does start, but that's literally just my assumption. I have no actual logic or numbers or facts behind that. Jimenez and Adeyemi, Elise or Guirassy and Pulisic. Yeah, my favourites would be Guirassy and Pulisic. Retegui and Musiala to Vinicius and Elise. Yeah, that's just been covered. Sapcosta or Kolasinac, Jim City or Kim Min-jae. I have Neuer and no Atalanta defender. Yeah, from these, I think Sapcosta's my favourite, but all of them are solid choices. You can't go wrong. Haaland to Vinicius or Guirassy for free. Already have Rodrigo and Kane. I prefer Vinicius this week. But yeah, you've got Rodrigo and Kane already. From those two, Haidar, I prefer Kim Min-jae. Thank you for the super chat. Let's go to this now. Julio Peña. Or is it Julio Pena? I automatically assume there's a Enye, an accent. Hi Dylan, I want to sell either Pulisic, Barcola, Musiala and Guirassy, but not sure who. I would only sell one of these. I have 0.9 million in the bank. Who do you recommend? I have Kane, Vinicius, Bellingham and Dembele. That's a good question. From those 4, I think Barcola would be the most likely sell, despite the fact he's in the top 5 most likely goal scorers according to UCL_Fantasy on X. But it's a very close one. In terms of replacing him, I wouldn't even mind Elise and doubling up on that Bayern Munich midfield. Or perhaps going in a different direction. But yeah, I think I'd sell Barcola from those 4. 0.9 million in the bank. I have Kane, Vinicius, Bellingham, Dembele. Yeah. It's an interesting one, for sure. I mean, Guirassy to Pavlidis could work very well this week. It's just I'm not a big fan of selling the only player to have not blanked in the Champions League this season in Guirassy. So yeah, it's probably Barcola out, and even a differential like Bakayoko or Igor Paxal could work very well for you. But yeah, I think in your case, I would actually go for Elise potentially and going all in on Bayern Munich if you got that buy-in slot available. Best striker, if Kane starts, I think is the best one. Otherwise, you're looking at Pavlidis or Vinicius. I've just realised I already have triple buy-in. Let me go back to the message. Can't bring in Elise or Kim. Outside those two, who are the best replacements for Foden and Hien? I mean, I think I've covered that as well multiple times. So Otamendi at the back, Gatti. I mean, I'm literally putting names out there because I don't know who's in your defensive or midfield line, so difficult for me to say. But Otamendi's up there. And in the midfield, you're probably looking at Pulisic, if not a very big differential like Bakayoko or Igor Paxal. I'm not so sure, mate. I mean, if we go back to UEFA.com, I'm fairly sure Barcola was in it. And I'm not sure why this has gone down all the way. Let's see. Let's get this up on screen so you can see my whole team. Oh, it's not great. Let's see. All right, that should be good. All right, let's now change it to the predictions. So if you go to PSG tomorrow, Barcola's in the lineup with Kangli and Dembele as the striker here. But of course, with the sign of Kvaratskhelia, is there a chance Barcola's dropped? Yeah, there is, but they can also coexist in the same lineup. But I think Barcola will get the nod. I mean, ultimately, if I'm building a team fresh, I wouldn't go for him, despite him being quite high on the odds and stuff like that, but I don't think he's going to be benched, no. Mbappe, Guirassy, or De Ketelaere, Kolomuani. So yeah, it would be Guirassy and De Ketelaere, if that's your question. Haaland or Muani for Pavlidis. I think I'd rather sell Kolomuani here. Very close, though. Yeah, Pavlidis is a good captain. I didn't say Kane isn't playing. I never said that. I said he's doubtful, but I think he's going to play. Vinicius over Mbappe? Yeah, I think so. Now, it might be this week where Mbappe finally gets a brace or a hat-trick in the Champions League for Real Madrid and he outscores Vinicius, but we haven't seen it this season. Who should I captain, Elise or Kane? I'd go for Kane, personally. Hien is out. He's not playing. Schlotterbeck or Otamendi? Otamendi. Marmoush or Kolomuani? Kolomuani. Foden out for Julian? Oh, Julian Brandt. Not a bad shout. He's not my favourite midfielder, but a nice differential. If you're feeling bullish, I'd take a punt. Haaland or Muani for Pavlidis just covered. I already have Neuer. Do you prefer Kim Min-jae or Otamendi? Kim Min-jae. Mbappe outscored Vinicius last week. That's not true, mate. Vinicius got 11 points. Mbappe got 6. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're looking at there. Retegui or De Ketelaere? De Ketelaere. Can only have one buy-in. Kim Min-jae over Elise? Kim Min-jae. Otamendi or Theo Hernandez? Otamendi. I have Dembele, Barcola, Pacho, and Hakimi. Are those too many PSG players? Well, I've got 4 myself. I think 2 or 3 might be the sweet spot, especially now that they've got the 3-0 advantage. But you've got the points on the board. That's the most important. I think that's fine. But if you were to sell one, it would be Barcola. Do you think City can surprise us? Yeah, they could. But it's Real Madrid. I mean, they're jammy, especially in the Champions League. It's their competition. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and I'd be surprised if there's a clean sheet in this match. Yeah, Bakayoko should start. Hi, Dylan. If you leave a sub unused, does it carry forward to Matchday 12? No, you've got unlimited transfers in Matchday 11, and then for Matchday 12, you will get 3 free transfers for the second leg of the round of 16, then 5 free transfers for Matchday 13 it would be for the first leg of the quarterfinals, and then the pattern repeats itself until the end of the competition. FPL Onion says cycling home, so listening in. Haaland and Hien and Leao or Jimenez and Walker. Well, Hien is out. He's not going to play. So I'd be looking to sell him. Jimenez and Walker. Yeah, from these options you're talking about, my favourite is Leao. No, sorry, Jimenez and Walker. Yeah, that would be my preference. Take out Guirassy or Pavlidis for Vinicius. I would not be selling either, to be honest. As good as Vinicius is, if anything, I would love to bring Pavlidis in. And with Guirassy, I don't know. The way I look at it, how can you sell a player who hasn't blanked this season in the Champions League? It's risky. Best free attackers for Matchday 10 is Vinicius, Kane, if he's fit, which I think he will be, and Pavlidis. Foden or Elise? Elise. Sell Foden for Elise or Jude? Elise. Pasalic or Paxal? Pasalic. Take out Guirassy or Pavlidis for Vinicius? Yeah, so I need to pre-read these comments, it seems. Pacho or Nuno Mendes? Pretty confused, honestly. Pacho is better for ball recoveries, although he didn't do it in Matchday 9. I think if you've got enough money, Nuno Mendes, a bit more attacking potential, but there's not much in it. Kane to Jimenez or Joao Felix and Barcola to Musiala and keeping Neuer? Good question. I would probably... Yeah, I wouldn't sell Kane. I know he's a risk today, but I think he starts. Yeah, Joao Felix and Barcola to Musiala and keep Neuer. That's my favourite. Bayern or Benfica defenders? Bayern. Well, Afnan, the way UCL Fantasy works is... Well, I mean, obviously, you're probably aware of it, actually. They both play on the same day. Not ideal. I'd lean towards Carnesecchi. But for those that aren't aware, you want to start a Tuesday goalkeeper, and then on the Wednesday... You've got a Wednesday option. You can bring them on if needed. Guirassy instead of Colomwani or Bellingham instead of Barcola. I think Guirassy instead of Muani. Kim Min-jae is available. He also was for Matchday 9. He just got a rest. Kokchu or Pulisic or Foden? Pulisic. Guirassy to Pavlidis. As much as I like Pavlidis, I wouldn't be selling Guirassy. Elise, Musiala or Pulisic for captain? Musiala for me. Guirassy or Jimenez? I still think Guirassy, but Jimenez is a nice differential. If you want to go against the template, the likes of Pavlidis and Jimenez are great options up front, and my favourite is Pavlidis. Decatellare out for anyone else for a -4? Nah, keep him. Look, Marmoush will be recommended in my FPL video, which is available for members and patrons now, so check it out after the stream is done. But in UCL Fantasy, I wouldn't recommend Marmoush over Vinicius, Mbappe, Guirassy, Pavlidis, Kane, etc. Diego says one transfer left, transfer Hien or replace Mbappe with Vinicius. Hien is out, so he should be sold. Mbappe and Vinicius, as much as it's been a big difference this season, with Vinicius being much better, I'd rather sell Hien, because at least with Mbappe, there is the chance he outscores Vinicius. With Hien, you've got no chance of scoring points. Hien out, Sappacosta in, another transfer, maybe Elise, Barcola out, Lookman in. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, buying Sappacosta for Hien. I like it. Another transfer. I wouldn't buy Lookman. He's going to be on the bench, according to Gasparini. Unless he's doing these mind games and he actually starts against Club Brugge, then fair enough. But I think that's a risk to sell one of Elise or Barcola for Lookman. So I wouldn't do that. The priority should be the other. Aranya says, why go for Pavlidis over the more consistent Guirassy this match day? I've got Kane and Vinicius. Also to replace Hien, is it wise to get Kim Min-jae while having Neuer or get Pavlovic in Inacio over a Dortmund defender? Well, there's a few reasons for the Pavlidis kind of prop I've been doing. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like Guirassy, and I'm not going to sell him this week, but Borussia Dortmund have a 3-0 lead over Sporting, and a lot of times that you see this sort of lead in a two-legged tie, you do see the team leading being more defensive. So let me just go back to my UCL Fantasy team. So they are more defensive, and with Guirassy, for example, his form is still quite mixed bag in all competitions. I mean, he's scoring in most games, you could say, but Pavlidis has been brilliant. I think he's got 7 goals in the last 8 matches with 2 assists, and he got a hat-trick in the Champions League very recently. I know Guirassy hasn't blanked in this competition, but you also look at the recent game, Guirassy missed 3 big chances this weekend, and whilst Pavlidis didn't score in Benfica's 1-0 win over Santa Clara, I still think he's been in better form overall than Guirassy. Not to mention the fixture itself. I know Guirassy did very well against Sporting in the reverse fixture, but Pavlidis has played Monaco twice this season. Benfica won both matches and Pavlidis scored on both occasions. It's really close, and ultimately Guirassy might outscore him, but I'm just saying if it was me and I'm building a Wildcard or Limitless team, I'd go for the informed Pavlidis, who has been doing it in all competitions. As for your other question, Kane and Vinicius, also to replace Hien, is it wise to get Kim? Yeah, look, they're all solid choices, but I'd rather go for Kim Min-jae because I'm backing Bayern Munich for a clean sheet. I've gone for 2-0 Bayern Munich If you want to spread the risk, Otamendi's a decent choice. Maybe Thomas Araujo at 4.1 million. I'm not a big fan of Gonzalo Inacio. I know I recommended him to you in the comments section because you asked me about 4.7 million defenders who aren't from Juventus, PSG, Bayern, and Real Madrid, I think, or something like that. So from those kind of options at that price point, that would have been one of them. But I think Thomas Araujo is even better, actually. That's something I would kind of retrospectively change with my reply to you the other day. Pavlovic isn't too shabby, but AC Milan aren't great defensively, so I think Kim Min-jae is my favourite, if not Otamendi, to replace Hien. Barcola or Elise? Elise. Top defenders are covered in my best Limitless and Wildcard videos. Nothing's really changed there. So Gatti from Juventus, Kim Min-jae, maybe 2 PSG options like Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, perhaps even Marquinhos instead of the Portuguese left-back. Yeah, those are the options I'd be looking at. Otamendi would also be up there, and Zappacosta. That kind of makes up your defensive line for you. Thank you as well, Nihal, for the super chat. Hien to Otamendi or Schlotterbeck or Kolasinac? I think my favourite is Kolasinac, but he is a very big risk this week because he just came off the back of an injury and there is a chance that his minutes are managed. So from that perspective, it is a very risky punt. If you are willing to take that risk, I'd go for Kolasinac. Otherwise, I think Otamendi ranks higher than Schlotterbeck in Matchday 10. Don't get me wrong though, Schlotterbeck's a decent option, but I'd rather go for Otamendi from those 2 secure options, so to speak. Yeah, Zappacosta should start. From those 2, I'd go for Zappacosta. There are B. I have Kane and Mbappe. What would the other attacker be? Pavlidis, but there are so many options, Bruno. All right, let me do a poll, which will probably help with a lot of people asking some of these questions. So, yeah, we've got over 1,000 people watching. We are close to 300 likes. Let's be sure to reach 400 by the end of the stream. And we have hit 32,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have. So thank you to those that have shown support to the channel. It is massively appreciated. Everything you need to know for Matchday 10 has been covered, from the early kickoff lineups, from predictions for tomorrow, and also all the team news like Hien out, Lookman reportedly going to be on the bench according to Gasperini, the manager, and of course Pulisic is starting. We did get that confirmation around half an hour ago. So before I do my poll, let's go through one more super chat, I think, and it's by Mohammed. So starting goalkeeper for Atalanta, Carnesecchi. He made a return this weekend in a 0-0 draw against Cagliari. In Matchday 9, it looks like Carnesecchi was feeling under the weather. He had fever all week, so Rui Patricio started between the sticks, but there is going to be no rotation there. It will be Carnesecchi in goal unless something happens from now until that match later tonight. So yeah, I would be rest assured Carnesecchi is the starting goalkeeper for the Italians. So hopefully I haven't missed anything, because sometimes YouTube can be a bit funny. Yeah, I have. China Buy put a super chat. And Paredes, so sorry about that. But yeah, hopefully you're still in the chat and we can go through these questions now. So Paredes says, is it highlighted? Yeah, it is. Will keeping Colomwani, Hien, Zappacosta status? Oh, sorry, will be keeping Colomwani. So yeah, Hien is out. He has an abductor injury. He's going to miss the next 3 weeks worth of action. Zappacosta is available. He was actually an unused substitute in that 0-0 draw against Cagliari, but he's fine. A lot of predicted lineups have him in the lineup, so don't be worried about Zappacosta. And China Buy says Retegui and Musiala to Elise and Vinicius. I probably would do these transfers, but only if you need to downgrade Musiala to Elise to fund Vinicius. Otherwise, my recommendation is to keep the Bayern Munich midfielder you have. I don't see much of a difference between Musiala and Elise. Both of them have 2 goals in the last 10 matches across all competitions. I think Elise has 2 assists and Musiala has 1, but ultimately it's not really worth that sort of switch unless you're making an upgrade elsewhere. And I think Retegui to Vinicius is indeed one of those scenarios. So hopefully you did get that, and thank you to all the super chatters. We did hit the goal. That means we'll be doing an even longer live stream, but I'm going to have to take a break after the deadline passes very quickly before I go back to your questions and stuff. So yeah, thank you, Paredes, and hopefully that has helped out. Why no Bellingham, and is Lookman going to start? Well, like an idiot, I sold Bellingham to Foden in the deadline stream and missed out on many points from other transfers as well. But it is what it is, right? As for Lookman, he'll probably not start. Gasperini pointed towards Kolasinac starting and Lookman making a cameo off the bench. So I'd rather avoid Lookman if possible. I get it, he can do something off the bench, but it's still a big risk. I told you Guirassy would be involved in anything Dortmund score, Dylan. Good luck for the second leg. Yeah, he's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Hasn't blanked in the Champions League this season. Hopefully, that doesn't change after matchday 10. And yeah, one of my worst decisions this season was selling Guirassy around matchday 5 or 6. Good luck as well. Dylan, Elise or Kim Min-jae? Elise has the highest ceiling, but I would rather go for Kim Min-jae. Keep or sell Kolomwani for Jimenez? I'd sell Kolomwani for Jimenez here. Although he's not my favourite forward, Jimenez, still a pretty good option, I think, for matchday 10. I think Kim Min-jae is a nice replacement for Hien. Sell Haaland for Guirassy? I'm not against that, to be fair. It's a good move on paper. Kane or Real Madrid forward for De Ketelaere? I prefer Kane. Yeah, either way with De Ketelaere, I'd probably keep him. I don't think he's worth selling. Pasalic or Kokchu? Pasalic. Barcola to Elise, already have Musiala. I'd still do it, to be fair. I'm not against it. For those that have Kane, Musiala, and are looking to buy Elise, it might seem like a lot, but I think Bayern Munich can score 2 or 3 goals. Yeah, I think he is, but he was mentioned a lot in my videos this week. He was in the differential section towards the end of my team selection podcast yesterday, so don't worry, I haven't ignored him. I know that he's a decent option, but I would rank Pavlidis, Vinicius, and Harry Kane higher if they all start. Ivan says 2 Atalanta defenders, 1 AC Milan or 1 Bayern. Pulisic or Elise? I'd rather go for a Bayern defender in this case. So, yeah, Milan would be at the bottom of the pecking order. A double up in Atalanta is fine, despite the fact it didn't work out in matchday 9. But, yeah, if you got one of each already, I'd buy a Bayern Munich defender first. Kim Min-jae is my favourite. Pulisic or Elise? I'd favour Elise just about. What do you think of Pasalic from Atalanta? I've covered him a bit today. He's returned in the last 3 games. His minutes are a bit all over the place. You've also got Darun if you want an even cheaper option. Unfortunately, Lookman will probably be on the bench today. But yeah, I think he's a decent choice. Not my favourite overall, but if you're on the market for a midfielder around that price, he's fairly decent actually. Yeah, he in replacement is Kim Min-jae for me. Transfer plans have been covered extensively. What I'll probably do now, whilst I set up my poll, is to show you the graphics which I talked about in my team selection. Only one change. Instead of selling Jim City, it would be Hien out because he is going to be unavailable for the next 3 weeks. But there'll probably be a few alterations to my transfer plans. So instead of selling Foden to Bellingham, I might look at something else. And I'll let you know very soon. But I want to put some polls out first of all. So yeah, thank you to those that have liked the video. Let's get this now to 400 before wrapping up. That would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, thank you to the commenters as well, super chatters. All of that is very, very much appreciated. Let's do this poll. So let's do best defender to replace Hien, which is a very popular question today. Okay, we can ignore that then. Oh shit, yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, there we go. We finally got there. Best defender to replace Hien. So let's put Kim Min-jae. Let's put double Bayern defense. Sapper-Costa. Double Atalanta defense. And the other options would be... Let's see... Otamendi, which might not be everyone's cup of tea. I get that, but I think he's a good differential. And the other one, I think Nuno Mendes. I got Donnarumma. No, I don't have Donnarumma actually. Nah, I'm not going to go there. So yeah, these are the options I'm going to put in this poll. I'll keep it quite simple. Don't want to overcomplicate it too much. So yeah, vote for your best defender to replace Hien. So I've gone for Otamendi, Sapper-Costa, and Kim Min-jae. Maybe I could have included Gatti, but I'm not as keen on him this week as I would have been last time out. Yeah, Haaland is predicted to start, all covered. By the way, is this good? Yeah, this is all good. Transfer out Hien and Flamingo, transfer in Sapper-Costa and Nuno Mendes. Yeah, looks really promising. Yeah, Pasalic, I just covered him. He's returned in the last 3 games. His minutes aren't the most secure, but yeah, he's a decent choice, especially amongst budget defenders. No, I'm not Portuguese, mate. You can see the Argentina flag. I wouldn't have that for if I was Portuguese. Keep RKM or switch to Pavlidis. I'd probably sell Kolomwani, yeah. He was really good against Inter Milan, though. That bit of skill against them to open up the scoring was brilliant. Haaland to Guirassy, Pavlidis or not? I'd probably do it. I don't think Haaland scores at the Bernabeu, but maybe I'm wrong. Would you rather do Foden to Elise or Colomwani to Jimenez? I think Foden to Elise here. Just about. I mean, Foden did score last time out in this stadium. I think it was last year. But yeah, I'd probably sell him. I prefer Theo over Walker. Not much in it. I think Kane will start, but it is a doubt. I mean, I can't guarantee it to you like I usually would. Yeah, Pavlidis will start. I mean, it'd be bonkers if he didn't. Neuer and Barcola out for Kobel and Elise. Yeah. I'd probably say no because you're selling Neuer, the best Tuesday goalkeeper for me, and Barcola is in the top 5 likely goal scorers according to the odds I showed you earlier. Should I captain Pulisic, Pavlidis or Musiala? I mean, captain who you want, mate. My preference from those 3 would be Pavlidis. Di Gregorio to Carnesecchi or Bernardo Silva to Adeyemi? Yeah, my favourite is Bernardo to Adeyemi. I think there's a high ceiling from that sort of transfer. So let's now go back to my UCL Fantasy team and let's go to the transfer section because it's time to start locking in certain things. So I was looking at Bellingham in for Foden and Kim Min-jae to replace Hien. It leaves me with 0.4 million in the bank. But I am tempted to maybe go for a bigger differential in the midfield. So that could be Pasalic, Igor Paxao, Bakayoko, or perhaps Adeyemi. That is something I'm weighing up. Or doing something like this, which means buying Elise and going all in on Bayern Munich. And instead of Kim Min-jae, I can buy a different defender to replace Hien. And Otamendi would be one such example, maybe even Sapacosta. But it does mean a lot of eggs in the same basket. I mean, in either case, a double up in Bayern Munich defensively or Atalanta, same kind of thing. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at right now. Definitely something I need to weigh up before the deadline. So in this poll, Kim Min-jae is leading with 38% of the vote. And I did add the context of double Bayern and double Atalanta defense in both scenarios. Otamendi is actually quite close. I thought it would have been more of a landslide. But yeah, very, very even vote. I'll leave it on for a few more minutes, and then I'll go to another one in the midfield. I'll put the likes of Bellingham, maybe Igor Paxao in that particular poll. Elise will also make it. So I'll see what you lot think. But yeah, I think maybe the most sensible set of transfers for me is to buy Kim Min-jae and Bellingham. That is what I'm leaning towards. I should have gone for Bellingham over Foden in the first place. And of course, selling Gatti last week ended up being very painful, to say the least. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I know some people are mentioning Barcola. Maybe he's going to be benched, but I haven't really seen any reports indicating that. If you have done, let me know. Put the link in the live chat and we can go through it. But yeah, UEFA.com definitely have Barcola in there. And I think he will start. I'm going to check another one on Google and see if Barcola is there. Yeah, look, another one. They've got Kvaratskhelia in the lineup with Dembele and Barcola, but yeah, I think it's worth probably keeping Barcola and hopefully he does something for once. Schlotterbeck, yeah, it's a home game against Sporting without Gyökeres and Trincao. Yeah, that's also a pretty decent shout, to be fair. He wasn't my best Matchday 9 team, and a lot of people were like questioning it, but in the end, he turned out to be pretty decent. I don't know. I think with Gatti, I'm less keen on buying him now. The home tie's just gone by. I think PSV will score, but he does get ball recovery, so he's a good choice, but I think I'd rather buy Kim Min-jae, for example. Haaland is not out, no. Pavlidis or Kane captain? I prefer Kane, but he is a risk. He is a doubt going into Matchday 10. A late decision will be made on his fitness. I think he starts. Haaland to Pavlidis or Barcola to Elise? Might sound controversial, but I think I'd do Haaland to Pavlidis. That could age like milk, but it's a really marginal decision. Top 3 Van der Sar replacements. Probably some of the options discussed in the poll. I'd say Kim Min-jae, Sapacosta, and Hakimi. If you don't have, or if you've got Hakimi, maybe go for Nuno Mendes / Marquinhos. Alberto says, I do not have any free changes and I have Hien. Should I use my wildcard or make a change and lose 4 points, or just keep it and no changes at all? I will not be wildcarding for one defender. So the answer is no wildcard for that. Do you take a hit or not? I think you have to weigh that up yourself, because who would you be replacing him with? Is it Kim Min-jae? I mean, there aren't many defenders I take a hit for, but I understand it because it would give you the extra option to maybe substitute, and that's very crucial in UCL Fantasy. But I'd lean towards probably keeping things as they are and not wildcarding. Gary says, go big or go home. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, in UCL Fantasy, I'm much more assured and confident in my decisions because I get more luck in this game than I do with FPL, that's for sure. Gyökeres is not in the squad. That's why him and Trincao are out. The reason is unspecified, but sporting fans are suggesting that they're focusing on the league and they're kind of writing off the Champions League already. Foden or Barcola out for Bellingham. Well, I'm in a similar boat to you. At the moment, I'd lean towards selling Foden. FPL MZ says Gittins, Adeyemi or Brandt for Dortmund mid. I think if I'm buying one now, it's Adeyemi. Gatti out, Otamendi in? Not necessarily, so let me make it clear. I think Gatti's a hold, but for those looking to build a team or buying a defender now, yeah, I'd probably look in a different direction to Gatti. It's just I don't see a massive difference between both of them. Musiala captain. He has been quite disappointing recently, but he is a quality player. Not for me. I think I'll still stick with Kane. I get it. If you still want to go for Musiala, it's a good choice, but I don't think I'll captain him. Should I transfer out Vega to Stanisic? I'd probably keep him. I think Renato Vega is decent. He's actually had a very impressive loan spell at Juventus. Crazy how the new sporting manager dislikes Gyökeres. Can see Chelsea, Arsenal getting a still transfer for him. I don't think Arsenal will sign him. I mean, I think Chelsea or United are more likely. Captain Kim Min-jae, if he gets a clean sheet and some ball recoveries, better than buying attackers, what do you think? That's why when people ask me, would you buy Elise or Kim Min-jae? I said Kim. Because I think he's more consistent than the Bayern Munich midfielders, generally speaking. But it's a close one. Pavlidis or De Ketelaere? Both solid choices. I prefer Pavlidis. I think Luis Enrique will start Kvaratskhelia over Barcola. It's possible, but Kvaratskhelia also started at the weekend, just like Barcola. Both of them could start at the same time, and it's Kangli on the bench. Gatti out or Theo out for Otamendi? Probably Gatti if you had to do one, but let's not actually get it twisted. I think Gatti's much better than Theo, but the fixture would probably lean you towards keeping Theo, if you catch my drift. Sell Foden and Gatti? I mean, that's kind of a luxury, right? They're both good options, especially Gatti. This week, I prefer Schlotterbeck over Gatti. The chat just keeps on moving, so it's impossible for me to even highlight the right message. Yeah, so just to make it clear, I would go for Schlotterbeck over Gatti in Matchday 10. Yes, all the differentials are covered in the end of my team selection video. I literally built an entire 50-man squad of differentials. The only one with more than 10% ownership was Elise, and even going for him over Musiala is a differential of sorts. So up front, you're looking at Pavlidis, Jimenez, etc., maybe De Ketelaere. In the midfield, I mean, it's all there in the video, so I'd recommend you check it out. Igor Paxal, Bakayoko all feature. Yeah, Pavlidis differentials captain, I'm on board with it. Predictions, just to go for it one more time. I've gone for AC Milan 2, Feyenoord 1. I think it goes to extra time and penalties. Bayern Munich 2, Celtic 0. The same scoreline for the Atalanta game, with the Italians reigning victorious. Borussia Dortmund 2, Sporting 1, PSV 1, Juventus 1, and Real Madrid 2, Man City 1. So yeah, those are my predictions at the moment. I'll probably keep things as is, but my main focus now is on getting my transfer spot on for UCL Fantasy, because last time out it was a disaster during the deadline stream for Matchday 9. Hien to Gatti, Sappacosta, Otamendi, and De Ketelaere to Pavlidis. Yeah. With De Ketelaere, I don't mind keeping him, but I understand why you're looking to make that switch. Maybe he shares minutes with Lookman. As for your first question, I prefer Sappacosta from those three. And this is very close, by the way. Kim Min-jae is narrowly winning this vote, Sappacosta second, and Otamendi is third. So interesting stuff there. Yeah, Sergio, I prefer Sappacosta. I wouldn't captain Sappacosta, no. But if you're feeling it, don't let me discourage you. That's for sure. Okay, so apparently Build have an update. So thank you, Mr. Mikey. Harry Kane is available for tonight's game. He had jaw pain after the collision with Hincapié on Saturday and was rested yesterday in training. Yeah, I saw that that clash. He was down for quite some time. It was a facial injury, so you're correct about that. And like I've said throughout the entire stream, I think he'll start. So that just makes me more confident. Thank you for that. Yeah, sorry, Ahmed, I'm not going to go for the best wildcard team because I made a video dedicated to that and nothing has really changed from the recording of that video. Barcola to Elise, good transfer, I'd do it. Barcola for Pulisic or Paxao, I'd probably keep Barcola in this case. Jim City or Theo out for Otamendi? Theo out, but I would argue it might not be worthwhile. My attack is Kane, Pavlidis, Mbappe. What do you think? I prefer Vinicius over Mbappe, but that's obviously that's subjective. I think that's a great front three. Jimenez, Garassi, or Retegui. Overall, I think it's Garassi. Yeah. Kane for Vinicius. I have one free transfer. No, I'd keep what you have. Well, why not Upamecano? Because Kim Min-jae was benched in matchday 9. I think he got his rest, and I think he's Bayern Munich's best centre-back. So, yeah, I'm quite happy going for Kim Min-jae. He's very good for the ball recoveries, just like Upamecano, but I would argue Kim Min-jae is even better in that metric. I also think with Upamecano being a rotation risk in matchday 9, just like Kim Min-jae was, the fact that Kim got the rest, I think it's more likely that Upamecano were to get one going forwards. Upamecano, or should I say, Vincent Kompany has been rotating a lot in the last couple of weeks across all competitions. If you were to transfer Barcola, who would you bring in except Bellingham? Elise. But that would mean a different defender coming in instead of Kim Min-jae. So yeah, that's been covered, Mario. Hopefully you got it. I have KDB, suggest a substitute, please. Apart from Dembele, who is my favourite, I'd look towards Musiala or Elise. Barcola to Elise, even if it means I have 4 Bayern players, I still don't mind it. Other transfer ideas for your team besides Foden and Hien? I mean, up front, if I were to make a move, it could be something like Garassi to Pavlidis, but I think it's not worth it. The other ones I'm looking at is Barcola to Elise instead of selling Foden. And in goal, if I were to make a move, it'd be Di Gregorio to Donnarumma, but it's just not worth it. So it's really clear to me what I need to do. Sell one of Barcola or Foden. I'm leaning towards selling the Man City man and selling Hien, who is out. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming to do. Yep, Joao, it's been covered to death. He is out. Captain Pavlidis over Kane. I'd captain Kane. I'll cover my transfers soon, but I wouldn't suggest copying for those that are looking to do that. You are limiting yourself, just saying. Foden to Bellingham. Yeah, it's basically reversing the mistake I made during the last deadline stream when I sold Bellingham. ¿Por qué todos quieren vender a Barcola? Algunos piensan que no va a estar en el equipo. Piensan que va a ser Kvaratskhelia con Dembele y Kangli. Pero para mí va a jugar Barcola. Así que no sé. Quizás la lógica es que PSG están 3-0 arriba y van a cambiar un poquito. Pero para mí va a jugar Barcola. 4 players from the same team is not allowed. It is, mate. It is. And that's been covered in all of my videos. Let me show you, by the way. So look. Harry Kane, Musiala. That's 2 Bayern Munich players. Neuer. That's 3. Let's bring in Kim Min-jae. Oh, you can have 4 players. And now, if I want a 5th one, let's see. Oh, no, I can't. So, look, do you see what it says here? 4 out of 4? Just saying. It's all covered in my How to Play Your Fantasy Guide, chip strategy videos. Yeah, don't worry. A detail like that is not going to be overlooked by me. Just saying. So, yeah, let me lock in my team fairly soon, but let's end this poll first. Kim Min-jae has narrowly won. Can we even say that? I mean, wow, Otamendi's just gone up to first. What the? That is one of the most even polls I've seen in a while. All of them were 33%. Now Kim Min-jae's gone up to 34. I'm tempted to kind of like end it when it goes to 33 again, but yeah. All right, Kim Min-jae is the very marginal winner. I mean, can you even say that? 2 of them had 34%. That is incredible. That's, wow. Yeah, my Wednesday captain will likely be Dembele. I don't think they'll rotate like I just said in Spanish. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. Yeah. So, let's see if I can see the poll result again. No, I can't now. That's a shame. But yeah, Kim Min-jae narrowly won it. Let's now put one more, and that's going to be Foden / Barcola replacements. So, who's your favourite midfield transfer? Lookman is back. He's in the squad, but he's not going to be starting, according to Gasperini. He suggested it will be Kolasinac in the lineup, and Lookman will make a cameo off the bench. It has been covered a lot of times in this video, so yeah, I don't want to go over that too many more times. I didn't say... Why are you not keeping Barcola? I didn't say I'm selling him. He's a possible sell. Someone asked me about, other moves I could make. I never said I'm selling him. So who's your favourite midfield transfer? I'm going to say Bellingham, Igor Paxao, Bakayoko. Doesn't look very promising. I think people are just going to vote for the same person. But yeah, Elise and Bellingham. Those are the 4 choices. Anyone else who springs to mind? Not really. Pasalic is pretty decent, to be fair. Yeah, I don't mind Pasalic. I'll go for these 4 options. I think Igor Paxao, as good as he is, I think he's going to be at the bottom of my list here. So yeah, I just said it, mate. Lookman's not going to start, according to Gasperini. So yeah, whilst the votes are coming in and whilst I deliberate on my final decisions, although I think I know what I'm going to do, let's go to the different screens for those that are tuning in very late. Like the video if you haven't already. Our aim is to get this to over 400 likes, and thank you to those that subscribe to the channel. We have hit 32,000 subscribers today, so very much appreciated. One particular lineup from, who is it? Let's see. TZ München. So they've gone for Neuer, Lima, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, Ito, Kimmich, Goretzka, Musiala, Elise, Kane, Sane, but then Build have gone for something a little bit different with Guerreiro at left back instead. So Lookman and Kolasinac took part in full training on Saturday, and that's why both of them are in the lineup, whilst Hien is out for 3 weeks, so sell Hien if you've got him in your UCL Fantasy team, and this is the Atalanta squad. So if you're asking me, is Lookman in the squad? Yes, he is. Is he going to start? Well, that's a different story, because Gasperini said this yesterday. Lookman and Kolasinac have recovered in principle. Kolasinac will start, and Lookman might come in during the second half. We'll probably lose Hien, and yeah, the rest is kind of redundant, because he is ruled out anyway. Rudiger is available to play against City. Valverde needs to be assessed, according to Ancelotti. And he also said Vasquez is not fully recovered yet, despite training today. And apparently, according to Rodra10 on Instagram, on X/Twitter, Rudiger and Raul Asensio are expected to start at centre-back, whilst Tchouaméni will be in midfield. And this is the Real Madrid squad. So all of that has been covered. For Sporting, Gyökeres and Francisco Trincao are not in the squad. So maybe Sporting have all their focus on the Portuguese league and have written off the Champions League entirely. For those that want to know about Predictor, lock in your predictions there. I've gone for AC Milan 2, Feyenoord 1, and you can see the rest. I'll probably go back to them once the deadline has closed. But yeah, it's worth going now to... Let me just show you quickly the UCL Fantasy League. There is a link in the description below. The code is cCaFxb, but the auto-join link makes it even easier to join. You click the link and you're automatically in the FPL Dylan League. We've got over 5,000 members, making it the biggest mini league in the world. But let's now go to the transfer section because, yeah, we've got to lock in our teams. Do not leave things to the last minute like I usually do in UCL Fantasy, and try not to copy if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated, but it might fall on some deaf ears. Joao Felix or Jimenez? I prefer Jimenez. As for this vote, Bellingham is winning by a landslide. You could say, now Elise is quite close. Pasalic and Bakayoko are quite low down, but imagine this. I sell Foden to Bellingham, and now it's going to be Foden scoring and Bellingham blanking, but I might just end up doing that. And I think Kim Min-jae in. So that means 2 defensive double-ups. So for Bayern Munich and PSG, I've got 1 Juventus coverage in Di Gregorio. I've got Jim City and Theo Hernandez. I think going for Otamendi provides more balance, maybe even Schlotterbeck. But I'm going to go for this, I think. Pretty much what I discussed in my video in the team selection. The only change really is that Hien is now out, so he is sold instead of Jim City. So, yeah, let's lock these in. That would mean I have 2 Real Madrid players, 4 from Bayern. But, yeah, I think I'm pretty locked in with this. In terms of, let's go to the full screen for now. That would leave me with 0.4 million in the bank, but it's not too relevant. We do get unlimited transfers for Matchday 12. Sorry, Matchday 11. Is Haaland injured? He is doubtful, but he is going to be available for me. He was in training today, and it was just a minor injury scare against Newcastle. Yeah, for this question, we're saying we'll leave it more after the deadline, so make sure to copy and paste it if you can. Obviously, we'll focus more on UCL Fantasy, but with Arsenal, who knows what the plan is. Barcola for Pulisic or Paxel, or keep Barcola? I'd keep Barcola. Maybe. I prefer Donnarumma over Kobel. Thank you very much, Badgeraz. It's always good to see you. From Barcola and Elise, I prefer Elise. Bellingham is better than Barcola for me, but pretty close in my opinion. Yeah, apologies, Paredes. I'll go to your super chat now if that's the case. Can we roll one transfer? No, you can't. And you can only roll transfers in the league phase. Just like last season, group stage only. You cannot do that in the knockout playoff rounds or the knockout stages. So, yeah, rolling transfers is not a thing anymore. Rate top 5 attackers. So, yeah, Harry Kane, if he starts, might be number 1. But I would also put Dembele, Vinicius, Pavlidis, and maybe even Garassi. I think that might be the list, yeah. So a lot of forwards in there and one midfielder. I think that's what I'd go to. Thank you, Wei Sing. Massively appreciate as well. And hopefully you all do well in UCL Fantasy and FPL. Kolomuani for Brief or Kane? I prefer Kane. But Brief has been in great form. I think he's got 7 goals in 5 games for Monaco. Very good record. Gatti or Hernandez? This week I prefer Hernandez, but yeah, I only wish I had Gatti. I should have stuck with him. So yeah, I'm going to make these very simple moves. I really hope it goes well, but you never know. So Kim Min-jae is back in my squad. I've got a double up in Bayern München. So let's just make sure this is all good. Make sure to order your bench. This is a very important point. And also captain a Tuesday player. So we'll sort it out by date. As you can see, Neuer, Hernandez, Jim City, Kim Min-jae, Pulisic, Musiala, and Harry Kane all play on the Tuesday. So that means I've got 7 Tuesday players and 8 on the Wednesday. The reverse of what we got in Matchday 9. Not ideal, you could say. You'd rather have more Tuesday players, but ultimately you want to buy the best players and not always just think, oh, he's playing on the Tuesday, I can't get him. I wouldn't look too much into it, but as long as you don't have like 3 Tuesday players or something, I mean, you're good. My bench has Di Gregorio, Bellingham, Hakimi, and Bacho. I mean, it's not really a big deal, but I'd probably... Is it really a big deal? No, it's not. So yeah, I'll just leave things as they are, and I'll make substitutions when needed. Harry Kane is my captain. It looks like the reports from Build indicate that he will start tonight. So yeah, as I covered in my team selection video, the best wildcard and Limitless teams, my captains will likely be Harry Kane on Tuesday and Dembele on Wednesday. But if I decide to go a bit different, maybe Vinicius will take the mantle tomorrow. But that's only if Harry Kane blanks today. I think even with 6-7 points, I might be tempted to hold. 8 or 9 should be enough. Welcome, Chelsea Blues. Good to see you. Best team, Dylan. Good luck. I have the same team like yours. Yeah, no wonder you're so complimentary, but thank you very much and all the best. Good luck, Pieter. The code, well, yeah, cCaFxb. You can see it actually on screen. Actually, no, you can't because I'm an idiot. I'm still on full screen. It's on the left-hand side of your screen now. So yeah, cCaFxb. There's an auto-join link. Very easy to get in there. Yeah, literally seconds away. Kolasinac or Otamendi. I prefer Kolasinac, but he's a big risk. He's just coming off the back of an injury. Lookman is in the squad, but Gasperini said he will likely come on in the second half. Who has the captain outside of Kane today? Pavlidis for me. Yeah, Pavlidis. So let me end this poll. Bellingham did win, but Elise was quite close. Paslic and Bakayoko complete that top 4 list, but yeah, quite surprised Paslic even got 10% of votes to begin with, but we are locked in. Hopefully you locked in your squads and, you know, ordered your bench correctly and got the captaincy kind of spot on. Remember, you want to captain a Tuesday player first. But since we hit our super chat goal and just knocked it out of the ballpark, we are going to go on for even longer. But I have to say, I probably need a little rest, as you say, a little toilet break. But we'll hold it in. Don't worry, I won't piss myself. So yeah, thank you, Pieter and everyone else. Good luck as well, Hind. Lookman or Kane? Kane. Yeah, predict 6. I did go for 2-1 AC Milan, with Milan to score first. I've gone for Bayern Munich 2, Celtic 0, Atalanta 2, Club Brugge 0. I could change some of these, by the way. Instead of the early kickoff, of course, you can't change it now. Borussia Dortmund 2, Sporting 1, PSV 1, Juventus 1, and Real Madrid 2, Man City 1. So yeah, those are my predictions in this game. Barcola for Adeyemi, I would have stuck with Barcola. Went for Kokchu since I can't go for Pavlidis. He has been good in UCL Fantasy, so I think he's a decent differential. He was highlighted in yesterday's team selection video towards the end, but he has played more of a defensive role in recent matches, so I would temper your expectations. He is cheap after all, but yeah, he's a decent alternative. Pavlidis is my favourite though. Imagine Pulisic upsets his thousands of owners today. We can sub him out. It's not the end of the world, to be fair. Thank you, Havgame. I'm not, for sure, but thank you very much. Good luck all. Likewise, MMK. Easy99 says my predictions. Milan 2, Feyenoord 0. Monaco 2, Benfica 1. Yeah, obviously I didn't say my predictions for the other games. I've only highlighted my predict 6, but yeah, Monaco 2, Benfica 1. Yeah. Atalanta 2, Club Brugge 1. That would mean extra time and penalties, by the way. Borussia Dortmund 1, Sporting 1, Madrid 2, Man City 1, PSG 2, Brest 1, and Bayern Munich 4, Celtic 1, PSV 1, Juventus 1. Interesting. Good luck, Ryan. I bought in Garassi for Gyökeres and Sappacosta for Hien. Lovely moves. I like both of them. Sappacosta was a very popular Hien replacement, which makes sense, right? Like for like. Wait, AC Milan are 1-0 up already? Bloody hell, lad. Didn't give me time to go to the outro and stuff. Speaking of which, let's do that, because what I want to do is turn on my TV and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. The last time I did that, when I was like, TV on, TV off, it basically froze my screen. So yeah, let's not do that again. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also hit that notification bell so you never miss a single upload or deadline stream. Thank you to those that subscribe to the channel. What am I doing? I've absolutely bugged out. I turned on my TV and I actually clicked the wrong thing on my stream deck. Don't worry, we're not ending it yet. All right, that was a little... I got too carried away. So I made the same mistake twice, but don't worry. I'm getting used to the new technology and stuff like that. Yada, yada, yada. But yeah, thank you to those that have supported the channel. We got a bit excited there. And yeah, it has been a blast. Jimenez has scored already. Yeah, I've been bigging him up quite a lot, but didn't go for him, of course. Congratulations to those that invested. He was highlighted yesterday in the differential section. I think some people were thinking, this guy is salty because he didn't go for Jimenez. He's logging off. Don't worry, that's not the case. Not today, anyway. So I'm just going through the later? Yeah, the earlier chats. So it will take me a while to get through the recent comments. Yeah, first time streamer, yeah. It's not like I've got 5 years of experience in this thing. Bloody hell, what an idiot. Native Faith says, went with Sappacosta and Posh. By the way, I can go back to my team. The thing is done. Yeah, Posh is interesting. Haven't seen anyone mention him. Hopefully it goes well for you. Good luck as well. Barcola for Adeyemi, cover that. Great stream, thanks. Thank you, Fantasy Fluker. If you had both chips left, when would you use them? Limitless in Matchday 12, so the second leg of the round of 16, and Wildcard in maybe Matchday 13 or 15, so the first leg of either the quarterfinals or the semi-finals. Switch Barcola to Adeyemi, hope it will pay off. Yeah, all the best, mate. I hope it works well for you too. I hate this early kickoff. Yeah, it did almost catch me off guard last time out, but I always check, of course, in advance when the kickoff times are, and then I schedule my streams based on that. I did Foden and Kolomwani to Vinicius and Elise. Nice, yeah. I think Foden could maybe bite us. I sold them as well, but hopefully that's not the case. Good luck as well, Barra. Good luck. Same with you, Miguel. So yeah, these are the comments here. Milan 1-0. Jimenez goal. Who scored? Who scored? Who got the assist though? It's your assist. Come on, Pulisic, do something, you bloody twat. Yeah, already. There's always early goals. It's literally UCL Fantasy editage, especially in these streams. We always get an early goal. Does anyone have Gatti? Nah, a lot of people do. And I almost did. For some bloody reason, I sold him like an idiot. Higuain or Milito? I'm not going to lie, I really like Higuain back in the day, but of course he missed some big chances for Argentina in the finals. But I do think he's a top striker. I think it's a close one. That's a very good question, but probably Milito. I think he's got that clutch factor. He scored 2 goals in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. Higuain had a pretty poor record in those finals and big moments, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, he could score against big opponents and, you know, he's a great goal scorer, but Probably Milito. No, I haven't seen the goal because literally I had my TV turned off whilst I was streaming. And yeah, when I turned it on, I was being stupid. Benfica winning it. Well, good luck. They might win the tie, but the Champions League is a different story. W differential. Yes, it's always good when you've got a differential, a low-end player who does the business. Yeah. Mauro Jr., big differential. Kokchu might also be. Yeah, he's been mentioned a lot of times, actually, Kokchu. Not Mauro Jr., though. Only for the lineups. Almost a Pulisic assist. Yeah, well, unfortunately it doesn't count. In FPL, I think that don't take a risk on choosing How as an assistant for Game Week 26 manager because we watched that game versus City. Oh, trust me, I'm not there anymore because there is no table bonus. There's no reason to go there. It's literally not worth the risk, in my opinion. So that will be covered to some extent in my Transfers podcast, which is available to members and patrons already. And yeah, I'll cover even more assistant managers and stuff like that in my team selection video and the Friday deadline stream. I still think Pavlidis is better than Jimenez, but we'll wait and see. Where am I, Dylan? Well, I'm in the UK. Yes, I'm in the UK. You're putting that screen on, dropped your viewers by like 80. Oh, right. Yeah, well, it is what it is, right? Only the loyal people are here. But to be fair, it's natural, though. Once the deadline passes, it goes down. But we're getting more people tuning in afterwards. I did play FM last year, mainly in October. I got it for free, basically. And yeah, I saw the news that 2025 was cancelled, or FM 25. I actually don't know if he celebrated. Is that another sound, says Batman? Why does the stadium sound empty? I'm not even sure. How many transfers after playoffs? Unlimited transfers in Matchday 11. It's been covered in all of my videos. Then you get free available moves for Matchday 12. So the second leg of the round of 16. Then you get 5 for the first leg and the pattern repeats until the end. It's all covered in my chip strategy guide for UCL Fantasy. Twister Parky, as usual, with his predictions. 2-1 Milan, 2-1 Atalanta, 3-1 Bayern München, Benfica 2, Monaco 0, Dortmund 2, Sporting 1, PSG 4, Brest 0, PSV 1, Juventus 2, and 4-2 Man City. Wow. All this talk about chips is making me hungry, yeah. I mean, don't get me started. I was feeling hungry already a few hours ago, and I need to have some breaks. I still have Foden, City for life. Well, good luck to you. I sold him. He'll probably do pretty well now. These deadlines are so weird. Another Friday deadline this week for FPL. Yeah, we've only got like one Saturday deadline in the next 4 or 5 game weeks, which is quite mad. Even looking at the recent game weeks, we've had Friday deadlines quite consistently. Pulisic was the one who crossed it to Tuur, and it almost went in off his header. Shame. Imagine FPL deadline like UCL Fantasy and team scores when you still live stream. Yeah, but unfortunately with FPL, the deadline is 1 hour and a half before, which isn't great for most people, actually. Foden, Muani out, Retegui captain, Kokchu in. All the best, mate. I hope the differentials go well for you. Oh, yeah. Real 4, City 2, Real to win. Fair enough, fair enough. I read it wrong. Finally, it's time to speak. Yeah, the Arsenal question, right? I don't remember exactly. Something about what's the plan for the summer. Fair enough. Militao was class. Milito. Diego Milito. I was 9 in 2010, so I have little memory of his performance. I wasn't much older. Spoiler alert. I was quite young back then, but yeah, Milito. Legendary performance. Petros says, I'm 134th in the world. My team is Kane captain, De Ketelaere, Garassi, Pulisic, Musiala, Dembele, Elise, Theo Hernandez, Sapacosta, Schlotterbeck, Neuer, Kobel, Hakimi, Gatti and Foden. Yeah, nice stuff. I sold Foden to Bellingham, so that's probably going to go well. Not. Why did you keep Ian in your team, lad? Oh, yeah, sorry, this is the wrong one. Yeah, I didn't keep him. It always does that when I switch screens. So yeah, don't worry, I sold him. So this is my team. So it's Neuer in goal, Hernandez, Jim City, Kim Min-jae, Pulisic, Musiala, Dembele, Barcola, Kane as my captain on Tuesday, Garassi and Vinicius, with Di Gregorio, Bellingham, Hakimi and Bacho on my bench. And basically, on the Wednesday if needed, Dembele will be my likely captain. Would you have traded Gittins for Kokchu/Darun? Probably not. I don't do sleeper. The code that I talked about for UCL Fantasy is for the league. So it's cCaFxb. I had triple Newcastle assets last game week. I'm drowning. Oof, yeah, they've been in terrible form recently. I live in Portugal, so I always watch the Portuguese league games. Pavlidis surely will get points today. Great form, great chance created by the team, which he has not been wasting. Great captain. Yeah, if I was buying a striker today, it would have been Pavlidis, but I actually saw a Benfica fan in the last stream say he's too inconsistent, Pavlidis, but I was like, his form is great, so that's why I was recommending him. Golded says, I'm assuming it's just not loaded, but can we get a refresh of the webpage? Yeah, that's all done now. Let me speak or let me talk. I might go Dortmund 2-0. You said they're resting players, right? Well, Sporting don't have Gyökeres or Francisco Trincao. I liked when your channel was smaller, when all my questions were answered. Joe, congrats on 32k. I get it. Like, people said that a lot back in the day when I had like 1,000 maybe subscribers or less. They're like, hopefully you stay small. No offense. I'm like, okay, thanks. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Feleni says, evening, Dylan. What are your streaming times? I usually tune in like 1 hour before the deadline. Well, for the deadline streams, it's typically 2 hours, maybe even 2 hours and a half before the actual deadline. So, yeah, for FPL, it's normally 2 hours before. UCL Fantasy, 2 hours and a half before kickoff of the first match in the match day. So that's how it is. With reaction streams, it's different for FPL. I typically do them on Saturday night in the UK, so 7, 8 p.m. UK time. Polyglot says, I went for a very differential captain for today. Pulisic, let's see. Well, the good thing is, if he doesn't do it, you've got a decent option on the Wednesday, most likely. So hopefully it goes well for you. I'd love some Pulisic points. MMK says, at least the FPL deadlines are not in the mornings for now. Slept over 2 deadlines. There is one positive about it, to be fair. Aranya says, got Pavlidis and Otamendi for Moani and Hien. Was considering Garassi and Kim Min-jae Schlotterbeck. But Benfica players give me more Tuesday options and our differentials. Plus, I already got Neuer, so I diversified. I get it, and I did like those options you brought in, to be fair. But I just went for Kim Min-jae. Went all in on Bayern. I hope they don't let me down. Dylan has his UCL Fantasy cartel and heard that Hien is playing and not injured. No, yeah, I'm not part of any cartel, unfortunately. I've got a group chat, which is called Cartel, but that's a different story. It's because it's Latinos and stuff like that. Racism. Wei Seng says, don't think United will spend big money to players again. Imagine Gyökeres to that Real Madrid squad. Yeah, but United just spend big anyway, and they always get it wrong, it seems, or almost always. Twister Parky says, Sleeper app is so janky as hell. Sometimes takes me 30 minutes to do them, and sometimes makes me miss kickoff. Yeah, I haven't really heard much about Sleeper, to be honest, so I don't really know too much about it. Why is the Premier League schedule so weird this season? Well, in terms of what's weird about it is probably the fact that certain double game weeks are being brought forward earlier than expected, but I think they might be looking to keep Game Week 36 as a single game week. Maybe that's one of the key reasons why. Easy99 says 30 more game weeks for FPL. What are the main target ranks and points? Well, in my case, to better what I did last season. Yeah, last year was the worst rank I ever got. So if I can better that, I mean, it's not amazing, but I'd rather make some progress that way. Mark Loftus says, yeah, it's true. In the start of the season, Pavlidis was very bad. He missed easy chances, but in the past few games, he's been really good. Let's see if he keeps his good form. Cheers for all the help. Yeah, thanks, Mark. And obviously, the Portuguese insight there is very helpful. Yeah, it's just the form recently. 7 goals in the last 8 matches, 2 assists. I mean, you can't ignore it. And in the Champions League, he's doing it regularly against the biggest and best clubs in the world. Good luck as well. Yeah, I tried to play that Sleeper, but it was so janky. Yeah, play. Yeah, I might check it out, but I don't know too much about it. Went for Musiala captain, let's see. I hope it goes well for you. I've got Musiala. I can't really have Elise outscoring him again. Wei Seng says, I really like the 2020-2021 schedule where they have 11:30 AM games on Sunday, not too much stacked fixtures at the same time. I don't even have time to watch other leagues. Yeah, and also this like Saturday blackout that they do in the UK now for 3 PM matches on Saturday is ridiculous. I think that also plays a part. What's your best Champions League score? Mine's 947, 2022-23. I'm not going to lie, I don't know what my best score was. It's close to 1,000, so it was over 900, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. My best rank is 700 or 800, something like that, so I've done it twice. But yeah, in terms of points, I couldn't be able to tell you. This season, we should be able to hit 1,000 quite easily with the extra match days, which is good to hear. It's mad. What's Arsenal transfer plan? I believe you guys are rich and will be willing to spend in the summer. I don't know, but with the lack of transfer activity in the last 3 windows, where Arsenal have done 25 million net spend, surely they're going to bring in some big names in the summer. Zubimendi is reportedly going to happen, which is a big coup. I think it's needed with Jorginho and Partey imminently leaving. I'd also want a top striker for sure. I mean, I don't think Isak will go, but if you can get him, make it happen. I think a winger is needed, maybe even another attacker, not to mention a backup goalkeeper. And depending on how many defenders Arsenal sell, maybe a defender is also a necessary addition. But I would also argue a number 10/number 8 to take off the creative burden from Odegaard, who is a great player, but he isn't like a Mesut Ozil in terms of creating chances. So maybe we're looking at 5-6 players that Arsenal need. And yeah, if Arsenal can get all of them done, and we're talking about quality signings, maybe they get over the line finally. Is Pavlidis the new Darwin? Didn't watch them much. Not so sure about that, but Darwin was really good for Benfica in his last year, and he's an erratic finisher, of course. Fair enough. Someone says reinstalling the app. Easy99 says, is United making the players worse? Because I swear when they left United, they're better than they were in United. Well, ultimately, in football and in any sport, having the right environment plays a big part. And Anthony, for example, is doing really well at Betis. But let's not forget, he started very well at Man United. He scored against Arsenal in his debut. He then scored against Everton, I think, and scored in the first 3 matches. But then it all went downhill. Why does UCL Fantasy show you history points but not ranking each year? I actually wasn't aware they did that. I thought there was no recollection of points and stuff like that. Bada says Foden, Muani out, Retegui captain, Kokchu in. I predict Atalanta 3-0 tonight. All the best there. I hope it goes well for you. Average at FPL says that 3 PM blackout is so outdated, it's ridiculous. It's just stupid. I mean, I go to Argentina, I can watch more games than I can in the UK. It makes no sense. If Kane does well, say 1 goal and an assist, will you still captain Dembele? No. A goal and an assist is 9 points. Maybe player of the match, that's 12. I'd definitely keep him. Yeah, I've got dual nationality, Argentinian and English. A great combination, of course, if you know the context. Easy99 says, when all the leagues in Europe are over, there will be Club World Cup the next month. Oh, yes. We'll talk more about that for FPL towards the end of the season, but a lot of football. My best rank was around 800. Yeah, UCL Fantasy is very competitive, but of course FPL might be even tougher. I don't like this Arteta in, Arteta out. Same with Wenger back in the day. If I had to lean one way or the other, it's Arteta in. I think he's one of the best coaches in the Premier League, and he's done a great job at Arsenal. But the question you can level at him is he the man to take Arsenal over the line? That's something he needs to prove still. But I also think he has been kind of handicapped, especially this season, with the lack of forward investment since he's joined. And also the likes of Man United, Chelsea and Spurs have all spent more money than Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, and yet Arsenal are clear of all 3 clubs. So I think he's a good manager, and I think he can win a Premier League title with Arsenal, but this season looks very unlikely. The injuries, the suspensions, and then you look at the lack of investment, it's been really telling, and it looks like a missed opportunity for the Gunners, because I think the league is very winnable this year. What rank do you have to be to get the PS5? Number 1? I'm not sure exactly, but you can also maybe get the top, 10? Yeah, you have to get a very good rank, mate. They're not going to give a PS5 for where I am, unfortunately. Twister Parky says, 2022-23, my only good year. Other 2 and this one so far, I suck. Well, I hope that can turn around for you, mate. Zubimendi deal, I'm not sure if it's completely done, but a lot of reports in January indicated that the groundwork is pretty much there, so Arsenal should be on course to signing him, which would be a great coup because City, Liverpool and other clubs were interested. I think Madrid as well. Why do I see both Gyökeres and Osimhen both in Chelsea shirts? Surely not, mate. I mean, Chelsea have a bad history of number 9s. The last top striker is probably Diego Costa, before that Drogba. So, yeah, signing 2 of them, you don't want 2 arguably world-class strikers ruining their careers. Some rumours say Moroccan El Khanous of Leicester is a good fit for Arsenal. What do you think? I mean, he scored a great goal against Tottenham. He's a decent player, but I think Arsenal need to sign world-class talent for the here and now. So, look, I don't think signing young players with potential is a bad idea, but I want Arsenal to sign the Isaks of the world, you know, world-class talent, or those that are borderline world-class to get Arsenal over the line. Transit Tube says, my team ranked 4K is Neuer, Di Gregorio, Hakimi, Bacho, Gatti, Carrere, Kim Min-jae, in for Hien, Pulisic, Musiala, Dembele, Paslic, Bargola, Jimenez, in for Colomwani, Kane captain and Garassi. Good squad. I can see you getting another green arrow, so all the best. What's your thoughts about Howson to Real Madrid and Spain squad? Well, I saw reports linking Howson to Bayern Munich, so I think there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. He's a very good centre-back. I just realised that Feyenoord are playing today with some crazy under 20-year-olds. It's like a C squad. Well, they're not going to give up. They're 1-0 up, so they had the advantage. I think it's because of injuries. I mean, Quentin Timber, for example, is out for the rest of the season. That's a massive blow. Hopefully he recovers very soon. But yeah, it's because of the injuries. Enjoy as well, Lager. All the best. Almost like McAllister. Yeah. Once I was walking in the streets, I had an Argentina trousers on, and someone saw them. It's like, you look like McAllister, literally a stranger. And then I go to some meeting, a mutual friend of mine. He also says, hey, McAllister, and that's literally all he calls me now. So it is what it is. Easy99 says, as a Chelsea fan, I want Osimhen and Kobel next season and one centre back. Sell the Deadwood. There's a lot of Deadwood, mate. There's a very big squad there. Go to gaming, my profile, view all-time stats, then click fantasy football for history. I'll check that out. I like the badges that UCL Fantasy do. It's a bit like achievements that you would get in, PlayStation, for example. I like it. So let's cover a few more before wrapping up and enjoy the football, of course, with AC Milan Feyenoord. I'll try to tune in for the second half, and I'll definitely be watching the games later tonight and the big one tomorrow of Real Madrid versus Man City. Slightly off topic, but did you see the recent CoffeeZilla video on the meme coin promoted by the Argentinian president? No, and look, I don't really have any faith in any politician, but yeah, Milei, the Argentinian president, is a clown. He's like the Boris Johnson or the Donald Trump of Argentina. When is the deadline of trust the process? Look, I mean, people want to win now, and a lot of Arsenal fans have lofty ambitions, but I think context is also very important, and Arteta's still done a very good job. We spent money at Man United under bankers without any plan, agreed. Now we have to dismantle that mess and build a better wage structure, and it will take years. 1 second, by the way, let me go to this thing. Yeah, Arsenal had a similar situation back in the day. The thing is, I think Man United can still get back on track in just a couple of years' time, but yeah, you could argue it could take quite a while, but look at the way Bournemouth and Forest are playing right now and their league position. I just don't think there's a massive gap between, let's say, third place in the league and where United are, ultimately speaking, but yeah, United simply haven't been good enough in recent seasons. At least you got a few trophies under your belt, but I don't see that being the case this time round. How do you feel when Arsenal need a striker but get a centre-back DM? Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, for example, signing Calafiori, but if it means you can't sign the striker, that's when it becomes a problem. But having depth is good. I just think in the last couple of years, Arsenal have signed too many left-backs, for example, and that is where you got an imbalance in your squad. But yeah, it's just about time Arsenal sign a striker. That's pretty much all it comes down to. A DM, I don't really think that's like a luxury move, so to speak. Like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, Jorginho and Partey will both leave the club. At least one of them will. So buying a replacement in Zubimendi, who's an upgrade, especially on Jorginho, I think is a pretty sensible move. Obi Mikel in interview saying that he hopes Chelsea director seeing his interview and buy world-class striker to back up Jackson. Well, no. If it's a world-class striker, they would replace Jackson, as good as he has been for Chelsea in terms of link-up play. I think he's a bit underrated, but yeah, surely Jackson will be back up. I like achievements too. Yeah, Timo Werner, that's another one I've been compared to. Manuel Neuer, Marco Reus back in the day. I look more like him 10 years ago, but yeah, I got a lot of these comparisons. David De Gea is another one. Aranya says, I remember I had my best UCL fantasy season during Haaland's UCL debut with Salzburg, and he ended up hauling in 5 out of 6 group stage matches, including against Liverpool, at Anfield as well, yeah. Nobody knew him back then. Yeah, he was a 4.5 million striker. Imagine Haaland at that price point. It's ridiculous. But I actually made videos back then, I think. And it was a fun time. I would love to see Isak in a Liverpool jersey. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. You're greedy, mate. You've got a good forward line. Come on. Twister Parky says, Dylan, what do you think of swapping Slot to Glasner and Rodgers to Dango? I have Watkins and Kluivert. It would be a -4 or just do one. I think I'd just do one of them. And I think Rodgers can do well against Chelsea. I think my preference would be the slot route. But with Oliver Glasner, for example, Crystal Palace are unbeaten in away matches since game week 8, but they lost 2-0 to Fulham in the reverse fixture, so it is a bit risky, but that's the point of it, right? High risk, high reward. I would lean towards that and keep Rodgers for now. Ended up finishing like top 10 in my country and 99th in the world, I think. That's a very impressive rank. I see Arsenal being linked with Jackson lately. I think Jackson's better than Darwin, yeah, but I wouldn't take any of them, no. Not played PS4 since September. Too much fantasy and work. Fair enough. I've got a PS5 and to be honest, I'm mainly playing old games. I'm actually on Elden Ring right now, so I'm finally playing a PS5 game, so to speak. And yeah, it's pretty good. Are you going to stream during the Bayern Munich game? No, no, I'm not. Yeah, so once this is gone, that's it for UCL Fantasy content until next month in a couple of weeks' time. Then all the focus is on FPL. But yeah, I won't do streams. I mean, if people want to see me do like a substitution stream or something, then maybe one day I can give it a go and see what people think. But yeah, already a lot of content for Champions League. I think Chelsea need to retire the number 9 shirt. I think it's a curse shirt for Chelsea. You might be right. I mean, the history doesn't bode well there. Hernandez just hit the post. Not what you want to hear, but somewhat promising, I'd say. Mitchie says, thoughts on Chelsea's strategy not to recruit experienced players? I think signing young players is a profitable business strategy, and you also can develop these players and then sell them on for better value, or maybe just have them be the difference makers in the future. But you need a balance, and they got rid of too many experienced heads in there, like Jorginho. Thiago Silva made sense, to be fair, but yeah, I just think Chelsea need that balance, and ultimately they need more leaders in that team. What do you think? Which team has a better chance to win this year? Liverpool versus Barcelona? I think Liverpool probably have a better chance. My issue with Barcelona is that their defence is pretty terrible. I know Liverpool can be vulnerable, and they were against Wolves this weekend, but they've got a better defence than Barcelona. You could argue that Barcelona's attack is stronger. That's definitely the case. And without Salah, I think it all falls apart for Liverpool. Just found out they didn't even celebrate respect to him. Yeah, fair enough. At what age will CR7 retire? Probably by the time he breaks the all-time goal-scoring record, maybe 41, 42. I'd say 42 years old. Who are your underdogs for the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League? Conference League, maybe Fiorentina, if I'm not mistaken. Europa League underdog. I mean, Lazio started very well, then kind of tailed off, but yeah, difficult to say. I'm not really too interested in Europa League, to be quite honest with you. Champions League underdog, I think Inter Milan, Atalanta would be up there. I know Inter have been kind of faltering in Serie A recently, but they'd still be... I mean, are they an underdog? I'd say so, because most people would say Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Liverpool, Real Madrid. Arteta conversation mad. Keep him. Could be worse. Look at United. He hasn't got over the line, but Arsenal so much better after Wenger nowhere near top of the Prem. Well, this is the thing as well. I mean, Arsenal narrowly missed out on the title 2 years running against the best Premier League side of all time. I mean, Man City have won, 4 in a row? 5 out of the last 6. And since Pep has come in, they've been almost flawless. Of course, this year's the frustration because this is the time to really capitalise, and Arsenal haven't done that, but as much as I've blamed Arteta in certain moments, and I think he deserves criticism, I don't think he's the main reason why Arsenal aren't going to win the league, or most likely won't. I think the ownership or the board is the main reason why. Don't worry, your star players leaving after disappointing season year by year. It's a possibility, yeah. I mean, if Arsenal don't win anything by next season, yeah, I mean, the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard, Saka, they could all leave. And that's the worry. We've experienced it before with Van Persie, Nasri, Fabregas. Although in Fabregas' case, it's a bit different. He wanted to go to Barcelona, his boyhood club. But yeah, I hope that's not going to happen again. I think you should join the SDS, a football podcast. You'd be great for it. I'll have a look. I actually don't listen to many football podcasts, mainly Arsenal and a few others here and there, but I'm not aware of that one. I don't think Hernandez with his pink hair will do much. Who was it that did that? Was it the Bayer Leverkusen midfielder in the Euros? He did it as well. He put pink hair, and I think Lehmann just absolutely got onto him, but let's not get cancelled. Jackson good, not a fan of Nkunku. Oh yeah, Nkunku up front, it's just not his position. He's much better as an inside forward or attacking mid. Yeah, Andrik, yeah, exactly that. That's the player. I forgot his name. Thank you for that. I feel like the transfer activity for Santi was so poor. Why do you think? For Santi? I'm not sure what you mean by Santi. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, let me know in the next live chat. Ineos went to cut off the cost in United by potentially removing at least 100 staff to reduce the budget. Is that good to cost people their job, especially normal people? Well, no. But they have taken a lot of extreme measures, it seems. But they've only signed one player in Dorgu in this January transfer window. They needed more, especially with the players they loaned out, like Anthony and Rashford. Pieter says, true, but as a United supporter since '98, I've seen all the trophies and I just want the club to be in better shape financially and the squad to be able to fight for the Premier League. Yeah, if not every 2-3 years, but United are the biggest club in England, one of the biggest in the world, and they should be competing every single year. So you are right about that. But yeah, at least you've seen all the trophies. I mean, I'm kind of just, in my lifetime, I'm missing the Carabao Cup and the Champions League, but at least I've seen the World Cup and stuff, but I want the big one. I want the Champions League one day. You know who's your lookalike? A younger Messi, 100% with a face? Definitely not, mate. Definitely not, but thank you. It's not a bad person to be compared to. Rodgers versus Brahim, who's the better City produce? Rodgers. And I think I said this in my reaction stream. I mean, Jackson's a striker, Martinelli's a left winger. I don't really think that's true anyway. Martinelli's been actually quite good recently, but unfortunately he got injured. And yeah, Arsenal down to the bare bones. I agree Palace is risky, but Ipswich terrible home record and Brentford is a decent team. People say history of bad form, but this is nonsense. Yeah, but you might be surprised to hear Ipswich have 4 consecutive wins against Tottenham, although we're looking back to 2000 actually, but that's a pretty bad streak there for Tottenham, amongst many others. FPL Oliver says, for Game Week 29 and onwards, who is a better, Marmoush or Cunha in FPL? I'd still favour Cunha, I think, and both of them are covered in my Transfers podcast, actually. If it was a one-game decider, which team do you think will do the best this season? One-game decider? Maybe Barcelona. But like I said, the defence is quite poor. 7-2 total attempts AC Milan. That's pretty encouraging. I think Barca's problem is with defending teams. I think they may lose against Arsenal, Inter, but can win against Liverpool. Yeah, you might be right. And I mean, sometimes, you know, even Arsenal, for example, I mean, they battered Man City, but they lost to Newcastle, and yet Man City battered Newcastle. So yeah, football isn't that simple sometimes, and opposites can sometimes not attract, and the playstyle can be influential in results and performances. What do you think of El Kabi as a forward Olympiacos, this year's Europa League top scorer? I haven't seen much of him, but yeah. I think I've seen him before, though, against Arsenal, maybe? Or was it a different striker? Let me know if I'm mistaken about that. I'm not sure how long he's been at Olympiacos, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind a kind of upset, maybe him winning the Golden Boot for Europa League and Olympiacos winning that competition. I'm just not so sure. Which team do you support, Dylan? Arsenal, Argentina, and Rosario Central. Those are my 3 teams. So one in England, my local team, my national team, and then my family team. 2022-23 Brentford, 7 home, 10th away. 2023-24, 16th at home and away. So bad all round. I expect their away form to be roughly the same as home once they play better fixtures. Till now, the away games have been hard. Yeah, and the home ones up until January were very easy on paper, and that's why we've seen more of a balance recently. MMK says, I kind of want to sell Palmer, but after Villa is Southampton and Leicester, I would not be selling him, as covered on Sunday. On Sunday? On Saturday. I think Liverpool will win the Premier League, but not the Champions League, no. I think Real Madrid have a better chance if they go through. Santi Jimenez, he meant. Yeah, I had a feeling about Santi Jimenez, but I wasn't really sure about the question. So let's go back to it. So, Santi, where is it? Can I find it? Probably not. Where is the question? I can't see it anymore. It's probably right in front of me, but I literally just can't see it. So yeah, apologies. Okay, thank you, Sol. That's very nice. Martinelli much better than Jackson. I mean, look, one's a winger, the other one's a striker. I think they're both good players, but I mean, look, with Martinelli, I think he should be a squad player for Arsenal at the moment. Will one of the big companies in my country be approached by United to be their logo in a United shirt? Unfortunately, the chairman not making decisions yet since he is an Arsenal fan. Nice. Feels like a Premier League team have been poor in recent seasons. It's competitive, but doesn't look like the highest level. Well, I'd say in the last 2 years, Arsenal and City have been brilliant, and last year Liverpool were until April/May. But look, and no disrespect to Forest, they've been brilliant this year. You know, they're really outdoing themselves, but they were 17th last season. They were 5 points above Luton Town, who could go down to the League One, actually. They could go down to League One next season, and yet they're third in the Premier League right now. So I do think there has been a drop-off. I mean, City, Spurs, Chelsea, United, all arguably worse than last year. Maybe Liverpool, Forest, and Bournemouth, you could say, are better this time round, but I think the Premier League is there to be won. Have you heard of FC Porto Samu? Okay, just in case, I'm not going to get baited. Maybe it's a real name. No, this is not. It's Mark. Okay, sorry. I'm very careful when it comes to baiting. I actually haven't heard of him, no. That's the simple answer. Salah for Ballon d'Or? If he keeps this up, then yeah, but there is still 3-4 months for the rest of the season, and I think the criteria is until October/August. El Kabi was the guy who hammered Aston Villa last year with 3 or 4 goals, and they advanced to win the Conference League. Yeah, that was a great performance. Villa were the favourites, and they got done. Hopefully Chelsea failed to win it, even though I don't really care about the Conference League. Saliba to Real Madrid to play with his best friend. How about no? Stick with Rudiger, the best centre-back in the world, apparently. Feyenoord playing so well with injuries, no excuse for Chelsea, Spurs and United. Yeah, and Arsenal as well. Third most injuries in the Prem. Not where they want to be in the league, but the second, and in the Champions League third. So you can navigate injuries, although it becomes much tougher. Twisted Parky says, yeah, but Ipswich 1 win home, 4 draws and 8 losses. I think 9 goals and 26 conceded. Spurs 4 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses. 21 goals, 14 conceded. I think away, but this is from memory. Yeah, look, I probably wouldn't go for McKenna, but he did beat Tottenham, of course, in the reverse fixture, and Spurs can do Spurs things. How would you fix United? It's just a graveyard at this point. Well, it's a long process. It's not just one thing that will sort everything out, but how to fix United? I think ultimately, if the board appoint the right people in these, positions, have a clear director of football and a clear vision, and they all move forward, like even Arteta Edu did recently, that could really set a benchmark for future success. But there is no winning formula. I mean, even with Arsenal that I just mentioned, they haven't won a Premier League or Champions League in recent times, even with a lot of progress being made off the pitch. Don't you think that every team bought by American management gets screwed? Well, even Liverpool fans, for example, with FSG, I mean, they don't like them, and you could argue they've not been proactive enough in recent windows. So, yeah, I think in a lot of cases, the American ownership have been quite poor. Should I remove Gakpo for Beto or keep him as he didn't start for the last match? Well, Gakpo is going to be out for the Aston Villa game in 25, and that's covered in my Transfers podcast, but he could be available soon, according to Arne Slot. I think Beto's a decent replacement, but I'd probably look towards Cunha, Marmoush, or Chris Wood instead. My favourites would be Chris Wood and Cunha. Is retaining Rodgers and Watkins versus Chelsea a good idea? I think so. Yeah, I've got Arne Slot still, so I might be looking for a replacement. Arteta's the kind of safe pick. Areola might be second, but Wolves versus Bournemouth is quite even. The last 10 matches, they've both got 4 wins, and there's 2 draws in there. What are your predictions for the winners of the top 5 leagues in UCL? PSG in France. In Italy, I still think Inter Milan, but Napoli are, of course, in the driving seat. Real Madrid for La Liga, Liverpool Premier League, and Bayern Munich. As for the Champions League, I'm going to say Real Madrid. I pretty much always say them now. Back when we have Klopp, Pep, Tuchel, Ancelotti, and Conte in the league. Yeah, and also Wenger, let's not forget. He's better than most of those managers. Well, that's debatable, to be fair, but he's the top manager. Dylan, we are desperate for Saliba. No, mate, you got Rudiger. Come on, and you got Asensio. United in 15th right now is a nightmare for them. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal in 8th a few years ago. Chelsea in 12th. I think we've all had that kind of really bad season, but 15th is another level after 25 games. And if United don't win anything, that's probably the worst season for a huge club that we've seen in a very long time. Adi Dayo says, I was asking about why no other club tried to go in for him. That's a good point. We talked about Gyökeres and Sesko and Osimhen all the time, but it feels like cricket's for him. Well, he is a good striker. Born in Argentina, by the way. Plays for the Mexican national team, but I do think the other options you mentioned are better, especially Osimhen. Maybe Sesko is debatable. More potential, but Jimenez is better currently. But yeah, AC Milan have made a good signing, and he's now scored against his former club. That's pretty handy, right? They took away their opponent's best striker and turned them into their own weapon for this game. McKenna's a good option, and it's the only one I would rather do other than Glasner. Van Nistelrooy, not confident. Yeah, same with Thomas Frank. I know you're mentioning bonus points potential managers, but Leicester have 4 wins, and I think Brentford have 1 out of the last 5 meetings. But yeah, things were different back then. Leicester were an established Premier League side, and Brentford were just coming into the league. Will you change captaincy if he scores 8 points? Probably not. Twisted Parky says, I need to take risk not going with better, and countless other gut feelings have cost me. Yeah. The thing is, though, risk can sometimes pay off. And with that kind of 8th attacker or this cheap striker, it can still work fairly well for you. So don't overthink it too much. I get where you're coming from, but it can still go well for you. Should I go Mitoma or a Bournemouth mid instead of Rodgers Gordon? I think they're all excellent choices, but I'd rather go for a Bournemouth mid. You've got Clover already, but yeah, I still don't mind Dango or Semenyo. Problem is, don't know if Mitoma is a long-term haul. Well, probably not. And in Game Week 29, the blank game week, he does face Man City away, which, despite their struggles, is still not the best of fixtures for a blank. Real not desperate for anyone. Embarrassment of riches, yeah. They're literally just greedy. Spoiled brats, I'd say. McTominay is on fire in Napoli, just like he was last year in Man U, yet they let him go. Yeah, he's been really impressive for them. And another example of a player from Man United or Chelsea who then go on and do even better. Mainly United, you could say. Maybe Chelsea's a bit harsh. Most of United's squad, not Amorim's squad. If next season he can pick players that can buy, if Ineos not stubborn to spend money. To be fair, though, they have spent a lot of money over the years. It's just the wrong investment, and they don't have a clear plan in place. But you are correct. I mean, with Amorim, he's signed 1 player in January, Dorgu, and it's not his team. I do think he should have adapted more, though, to his squad, because this team clearly isn't really used to, or it doesn't thrive in a back 3 system. And I completely admire, a manager, kind of standing their ground and just being stubborn with it. But there comes a point where you've got to adapt and find a solution, at least temporary. Even Arteta, for example, when he first came to Arsenal, he switched to a back 3 to win the FA Cup against better teams than Chelsea and Man City at the time. And ever since, he's played a back 4, but he changed things according to the personnel he had available. Mark says Amorim's a good coach for United. He just doesn't have the players for his system, and United's players are not used to his system. Sporting won a league with him for the first time in 20 years. I agree. And it's a shame, maybe. He should have stayed with Sporting. He could have won the league unbeaten because they won 10 out of 10 at the time. And then go to United in pre-season, in the summer. He's got, the whole, 3-4 months to work with his team before the season starts, or 2 or 3 months. And then he can really implement his ideas and get some big transfers in. Also, you can see Sporting are not performing very well since Amorim left, having a coach now that uses a different system, which Sporting have not been really good. It's a matter of time for United. Yeah, it was a perfect, fit between Amorim and Sporting. Most of United squads in the last couple of years are ex-Ajax players by Ten Hag. Imagine Amorim buying Sporting players in a couple of years. Yeah, Gyökeres is the one I don't want going to United. He's a top-quality striker. Do you think Ronaldo's the GOAT of UCL? I mean, look, I understand why he is widely regarded as that. I mean, yeah, it's between him and Messi for Champions League best player of all time. Ultimately, though, football's not just Champions League, and Messi is the best player. Was it Golja? 24 says, apparently Arteta loves Nico Williams and Sesko. I can tell you, as a Slovenian, Sesko is our guy, but I don't think he's ready for the top level. Don't expect 20 goals right away. I agree, and I have to be honest, I don't want to wait until the summer to buy Sesko. If you want to buy him, great, but also buy Isak. I don't want just one player and it being Sesko. I'm just being brutally honest. I agree with you. He's got a lot of potential. He can become a world-class striker, but he's not quite there yet. Would you take Ferran Torres at Arsenal? No. I want a level raiser, like an Isak, a Gyökeres, a top-quality bagsman who puts Arsenal over the line. That's what I want. Will I get it? Probably not. Twister Parky says, I get you, but my gut feeling when I have is that they never let me down. Maybe selective memory. Last year got Gordon before the run, and goal versus Arsenal. This year, for example, held Wood and Mbeumo, and it paid off. The BS goal, yeah. No, yeah, I get that. You got to trust your gut, of course, and maybe sometimes go sensible. Tony Cruz versus KDB. They are different players. I mean, KDB is a attacking midfielder, a chance creator. whilst Toni Kroos dictates the game. He's more of a Xavi-esque player, although I think Xavi's better. I'd prefer KDB, but Toni Kroos is one of the best midfielders of this century, for sure. Polyglot says, but everything could change with the new Champions League system. More goals will be scored, faster they will score. You could be right. Also got Sells and Gimmick free. That's a really good call. If you were a football player, would you want a calm or strict coach to teach you? Probably calm, but everyone's different, right? And with strict coaches, they do instill discipline, and some players do need that. Do you think the current form of Spurs with endless injuries has to do with the medical staff, or are there other causes in your opinion? I think it's a combination of multiple factors. For example, the way Mickey van der Ven plays, you could say he's kind of susceptible to injuries. And also Ange Postecoglou's system or the training methods. I think it's probably more to do with the training and also the medical staff, a combination of those two. Regarding Gakpo replacements, Mateta, Marmoush, or anyone else, yeah, both great options. I'd also say, well, Chris Wood, you mentioned, Cunha is a fantastic choice. My favourite would be either Cunha or Mateta, depending on if you're free hitting in 29 or not. Leao misses big chance. Not really too surprised. Don't worry, Twisted Parky. I did understand what you said. Haaland will break UCL goal record. I think he already has 49 goals in 48 games. Yeah, he will break the record. There are some Messi records, for example, that I think, well, they could be broken, but it's very unlikely. We might have to wait hundreds of years for that to happen. I'm going to say Messi because I grew up in the Messi era, right? Maradona, you know, if you ask my parents or you ask my grandparents, they'll say Maradona. So it's also a generational thing. But I just think Messi has the longevity, the goal scoring over Maradona. Both of them, the best dribblers of all time alongside Garrincha, you could say. And in terms of creativity, both also up there in the all-time list. Do you think Gyökeres or Isak is a better player overall? Isak. As a goal scorer, that's debatable. I'd probably say Gyökeres is better, but as a player, I think Isak. He's a better dribbler, the control, and he's the closest you'll see to Thierry Henry in today's generation. And don't get me wrong, he's nowhere near Henry, but he's the closest you can probably get profile-wise. Is Yamal better than Saka already? I don't think so. Yamal's brilliant. He probably could end up being better than Saka. I don't think he is. I really rate Saka that highly. So yeah, I mean, and you're also asking an Arsenal fan. Barcelona fans now are going to come with pitchforks. Oh, he's the better passer. Well, they're both pretty good passers. Maybe Yamal has the edge in that, but Saka's good. He's a good passer. But you might give Yamal the edge in that metric. If you had to support another team other than Arsenal in the Prem, who would you support? I can't. I just can't. But hypothetically, I wouldn't mind Forest, Nottingham Forest. Back in the day, I don't know why, but I like Newcastle. You know, Alan Shearer, the celebration, big fan base. And I have to say, in terms of home support in England, Newcastle are one of the best. I don't like, you know, when Arsenal go there, even though we used to always beat them, not anymore. So yeah, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Aston Villa would be like three of the teams I'd mention. Yeah, one of those three, probably. Gyökeres is a class player, but maybe not good enough for the Prem yet, as the Premier League has much higher intensity games, and Gyökeres recently has been having a lot of fitness issues. Yeah, I'm quite surprised by that. Yeah, the thing is with Gyökeres, and I've said this before with Arsenal, if he were to join the Gunners, there's no guarantee that he gets the spaces and, you know, the kind of openings that he would in Portugal. So that's one thing I would say against that signing, but don't get me wrong. Isak or Guirassy? I think Isak is better overall. I used to play football consistently, but not recently. I'll try to go back to it. I was mainly a goalkeeper. That was my best position. I know I'm not the tallest, but my reflexes, mate. Come on. Yeah, Theo Yellow, that's amazing. But if he gets a clean sheet, I'll take it. As a Chelsea fan, selling Salah and KDB and them now playing for the two biggest Prem clubs currently is painful to see. We have made the two worst sells in Premier League history. It's up there. But then again, especially in the case of Salah, you could say, he wasn't that great when he got opportunities, but KDB, I think you always saw a player in there at Chelsea. Gyökeres will be back to the Coventry of him if he joins the Premier League. Oh, he had a good record at Coventry, didn't he? Yeah, I think he did. So if he were to get back to that level, he'd still be pretty good. But I get your point. I think he'd still do fairly well, just not get like 50 goals in 55 games or whatever he does nowadays. Theo, my friend, got himself a yellow. Not good for Theo owners, but maybe he'll get a clean sheet. Yeah, that's the hope. And as soon as I say that, 1-1. Pinky Theo takes yellows for fun. Someone did say, with that haircut, he's not going to do anything. Maybe he's right. Well, I've met Di Maria when he was 17, 18, and I was like a little kid at the time. Not Messi, though. Probably not. And it's not something I actively seek, like, oh, can I meet, one of my favorite players and get an autograph? It's not something I kind of want to do. I put Ruben Diaz as my captain. Is it a good or bad choice in your opinion? I think it's a bad choice, to be honest with you. I wouldn't go for any Man City or Real Madrid defender in Matchday 10. KDB versus Kroos, passing and football IQ. Oh, passing is going to be Kroos in terms of the range, but both of them are excellent crossers, but KDB would be better, especially in terms of the final third. But in terms of passing, it has to be Kroos. Football IQ, both of them great, but it'd also be Toni Kroos. Who would you support in La Liga and Serie A? Yeah, Napoli would be up there because of Maradona. They've had a lot of Argentinians. I think Inter Milan would also be one of the kind of top ones because they've had Zanetti, Milito, Cambiaso, many Argentines in the past. In La Liga, Valencia, because of Aymar, Kempes, that kind of link. I also like Atletico because of the contingent they have now. So that's kind of the two teams from each country I'd be looking at. Yeah, I think so. My big regret is Haaland Gemic 9 triple. So man said you have to use on a single as not enough doubles due to FA Cup changes. I'm 13 points off. Mana could have been really high this season. Yeah. To be honest though, even with like the back-to-back doubles that we had recently, I was thinking we're not going to get another back-to-back double again this season. And then lo and behold, Gemic 32, mini double game week of Newcastle and Crystal Palace. And you will have back-to-back doubles to use the assistant manager there as well. If I was Arsenal, I'd get Cunha. I think that was a January opportunity. And now in the summer, as good as Cunha is, and I wouldn't mind signing him, we need even more than that as well. Theo did get ball recoveries, though, and he is playing well. He hit the post, of course. Very unlucky not to score, so not too shabby. Yeah, I do watch the Argentinian League. The other day, there was the Clásico, Rosarino, between yours old boys and Rosario Central. Central won, again. In terms of young players, yeah, I'm not too sure about talents. I mean, Echeverri, of course, is at Man City now. He would have been the one I highlighted. He was at River Plate for the last couple of years, but yeah. I haven't seen as many promising talents as a few years ago, I'll be honest. Oh yeah, Arsenal need maybe even 2 strikers. Definitely 2 or 3 forwards. Yeah, it's half-time right now. Funny how Arsenal still love to get useless players from Chelsea. Well, okay, let's break it down. David Luiz, he was very not very shambolic. He was very inconsistent in the league and sometimes made howlers, but I do remember him fondly because he did help the Arsenal youngsters like Saka, and he actually played very well in the FA Cup semi-final and the final against Chelsea, yeah. Willian was terrible. He was a free signing and he was absolutely terrible. Had a great start and then it all went tits up. Who else? Jorginho, I think, was an excellent signing. I think he's offered great value. Only one bad performance in, 2 seasons? 2.5 seasons? Kai Havertz, too much money. He is overpaid, but he's had a good 2024. And I do think he has a lot of value for Arsenal as a squad player, but he shouldn't be the main man. So I would have to say only one of them was an absolute disaster. Another one with David Luiz ultimately was probably a poor signing, but he still helped Arsenal win an FA Cup, a Community Shield, and helped the youngsters go through. So I don't have the same opinion as others about the Arsenal-Chelsea kind of signings. Unpopular opinion, I think Rodrigo's the best player in Madrid right now. He is very underrated, yeah. I think he's not far off Mbappe and Vinicius. I think the best player might actually be Valverde, at least in the midfield. Yeah, I think Valverde is very, very underrated. Have you seen any players in the new generation that looks like Bergkamp profile-wise? Nah, there's only one Dennis Bergkamp. The closest to him, I'll try to think, but I don't think there is one. What's the top 5 legends when you were a kid? Thierry Henry, Ronaldinho. Yeah, that's a good list, to be fair. Bergkamp, I have to put an Arsenal one in there. And Buffon. That's not too shabby. 13 points off top 10k. Sorry, keyboard, bench boost, wildcard and free at left. Don't worry, I understood in the end. I thought 1k originally, though. Aside from football, I just finished binge watching 6 seasons of The Sopranos on your command. That was something, especially with the non-PC nonsense we have nowadays. Yeah, it's a great show. Yeah, it's one of my favourites, if not the best I've ever seen. But there are so many different great shows. It might change one day, but Sopranos is the OG. It set the standard for TV. I love it. If it was the final penalty of the game, who's your pick? Final penalty. Maybe someone who hasn't missed. I think Totti has an amazing record. Perotti, I know he's a kind of like an... Who? He's an Argentine who played for Roma. I think he had like 25 penalties scored out of 25. I don't know. I mean, if not, people would just say Cristiano Ronaldo. Or I don't know. But Harry Kane did miss against France, but he's scored every other penalty, hasn't he? Yeah, I think Totti might be up there. Come on, Pulisic, don't give us 2 blanks, man. It's possible. Oh yeah, I forgot about Petr Cech. Yeah, he did win the Golden Glove in his first season, but starting him against Chelsea in Europa League final, that's what I mean about Unai Emery. He made some baffling decisions at Arsenal sometimes. Yeah, he was a poor signing, I'll give you that. But I think Luis wasn't as bad as people say. I think Jorginho's been excellent. Kai Havertz has been good, but just too much money. So it's kind of been mixed bag, I'd say. If Messi retires soon, will Argentina be a shambles without him? I don't think a shambles, but it's a big miss. You know, you're missing the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. And it's a difference maker. But I think Scaloni, what he's done is lay the foundations for long-term success. And 4 trophies in a row, you don't win that in international football by being a one-man team. I think Argentina have more about them now. Do you think Hernandez will get subbed for the yellow card? Well, he's now suspended, by the way, for Matchday 12. So don't pick him, sorry, for Matchday 11. So don't pick him for the round of 16. But it's possible. I think he'll be subbed off, but not at halftime. Jorginho also has an excellent dressing room presence. Yeah. Great penalty taker. It's a shame he had to be subbed off for the shutout against United, but Wildcard doesn't use striker if they don't have a striker. Maybe inexperienced. Well, yeah, you just be kind of throwing them into the frying pan. Yeah. No, from the frying pan into the fire. Yeah, and I don't think it's the right time to do that. And we've got youngsters on the bench, wingers and strikers. I think Sago Jr. is one of them. And he's already done a brilliant job with Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly. And he did something similar with Saliba. You've got to protect these players as well, and you don't want the fans kind of getting onto them. Michael Laudrup pretty close to Bergkamp. Yeah, for sure. But in terms of current players, I can't think of any. What do you think about the potential Xavi Simons? It's quite high. I did rate him a little bit more a few years ago, but he does seem fairly injury prone. Weiseng says, yeah, I've heard many old guys say that Bergkamp is unique. Never have someone has someone similar until today. Shame I never got the chance to watch him play. Yeah, the only downside with him is that he couldn't travel by plane. You know, he had a fear of flights, and yeah, he missed a lot of crucial away games for Arsenal. Maybe it would have been different. Who would be your top 5 Prem strikers to sign for Arsenal? Oh, Prem strikers. Okay, Isak would be number 1. We're not going to sign Haaland, for sure. So yeah, Isak. I mean, Chris has been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I'd sign him as a backup. That sounds a bit disrespectful, doesn't it? He gets into our team now, but yeah, Isak, Cunha. Yeah, I think I'd probably say Chris Wood right now. Who else is there? Jackson? I don't think so. Yeah, we wouldn't sign anyone from Liverpool anyway. Not really worth saying them. Oh, Watkins, yeah, I'd sign Watkins. So yeah, Isak first, Cunha second, Watkins third, Chris Wood fourth, and in fifth, I'm not sure. But there is someone, surely. I mean, Jeroboam is playing as a striker right now. I'd take him as a utility option. Or actually, you know what, Mbuma. He is a winger, but I'd take him. He can play both positions. He would have been my ideal January signing as well. Cole Palmer should take the pen. Yeah, penalty merchant, right? Tony would be my pick to take a penalty. Yeah, true. Watkins, bottom of the pile. That's a great point. Leticia or Shearer as penalty taker for me. Yeah, they're probably better picks than what I said, but not too shabby, I think. Pirlo wouldn't miss a big pen, no way. Yeah, didn't he dink it against England? Do you think there'll be another Messi for Argentina someday? And for now, who can take the baton from him, I guess that is. Well, people said that about Maradona. There's never going to be another. Then you get Messi, who's arguably better 30 years later. It's going to be very unlikely, but I do think Argentina can produce another top talent. Who's the most likely now to take over the reins? Maybe Dybala as like a temporary player, but you're more looking at Echeverri, I think, from Man City. He's the most likely to kind of go to the next level. One more World Cup for Messi, especially in USA, and retire there. Imagine the scripting and storyline. well, people say the last World Cup was scripted. I mean, I've got my own opinions on that, but yeah, he's already won 4 trophies in a row. He's got 5 honours for Argentina. He's done it all, to be honest. Marino is centre forward. All I ask after last week, yeah, a brilliant cameo off the bench. I was screaming like a madman. That's why my voice was gone recently. How did Bergkamp play, actually? Why is he the one and only? Well, I mean, look at his goals against Argentina and Newcastle. They're just unique goals you will rarely see anywhere else. The first touch, I'd argue, is one of the best in football history. Just the control, the IQ. He scored the most unorthodox goals you'll see as well. Yeah. I just think Bergkamp is like if you ask me, like, is he a better goal scorer or creator? I think he's like equally good in both, like elite level in both departments. So yeah, he's just an amazing player to watch. He's elegant. He's got that class about him. Actually, probably anyone German to take a penalty except Werner. Yeah, or Kai Havertz, who had a great record until recently. Delap maybe. Yeah, not a bad shout. Visser, Jimenez, Watkins. Yeah, Watkins, yeah. I had to say him. Visser, I like him as a player, but I wouldn't want him at Arsenal. Jimenez, nah. Nah. I think his best days are... Well, he's been good this season, but nah, I don't want him at Arsenal. If Harry Kane was never a Tottenham player, he'd fit this Arsenal team perfectly. Yeah. And he was an Arsenal fan growing up. There's pictures of him in the parade of our last league title win a long time ago. Will Alvarez be the best Argentina player for the next generation? Possibly, but I think Echeverri might be... He's more likely to go to the next level. Maybe Ronaldo win it next year and Messi already win it. I mean, good luck to him in Portugal, but it's not something I'd want to do. Yeah, lineups are shown. Atalanta lineups are available. Yeah, I've been streaming for a very long time, it seems. But yeah, we'll go to a close because we've been here for far too long. So let's go quickly through these lineups and then wrap up. Thank you to those that have liked the video, subscribed. We did hit 32,000 today, so a bit of a special, longer stream. To the dismay of some, but maybe to the... What the hell? Oh, I put the wrong URL. I was thinking my bloody stream crashed. That would have been terrible. So, I'm going to get all the lineups out quickly, and then we're going to wrap things up. Hopefully, none of our players are benched, but we sometimes get these big surprises. So, for Benfica versus Monaco... Trubin, Carreras, Antonio Silva, Arsunes, Kokcu, Pavlidis, Aktoglu, Barrero, Schreindrup, Otamendi and Thomas Araujo. For Monaco, Majeki, Kerrer, Benseguer, Aklioche, Henrique, Mawissa? Yeah, Mawissa, Kamara, Singo, he's back, Minamino, Diatta and Mbolo. But that's a massive boost there for Monaco. Singo, he's produced some massive returns this season in the Champions League. Of course, AC Milan currently 1-0 up. Hernandez got booked, and it was Jimenez scoring the goal. Let's now cover Bayern Munich and Celtic. So yeah, Neuer in goal, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, Kimmich, Gnabry, Goretzka, Kane, Elise, Guerrero, Musiala, and Stanisic. So this lineup here... No, not this one. No, not this one. It was UEFA.com who got it spot on. Yeah, they were the ones who... Yeah, fair play to them. I'm pretty sure they said it here. Yeah, they put Stanisic in there. Not too shabby, but wait, is it... Huh. Yeah, Goretzka starting though. So yeah, it looks like kind of mixed bag in terms of predictions there from them. Yeah, impossible to kind of get them all spot on, right? Celtic, of course, I mean, I'll read them out quickly. Schmeichel, Johnston, Trusty, Jota, Kun, Schlopp, Carter Vickers, Engels, Maeda, Hitati, and McGregor. So the last one is Atalanta. Is Lookman starting? No, he's not. So, yeah. Gasperini was being truthful in the press conference. It's Karnasic in goal, Toloi, Jim City, and Kolasinac who returns, Cuadrado, Darun, Edison, Sapacosta, Paslic, De Ketelaere, and Retegui. And for Club Brugge, you can see the following: Mignolet, De Kuyper, Micheli, Ordonez, Seis, is that? Tazolis, Onyedika, Vanaken, Jashari, Talbi, and Jutla. Yeah, some of those names I didn't pronounce correctly probably, but yeah, my eyesight's terrible. And yeah, apologies for that. But those are all the lineups. So basically, no real surprises. If you watch my stream from the beginning or all my videos, all of this has been covered, so there shouldn't be any real shocks. The biggest one, yeah, was probably Singo, actually, because he was doubtful going into Matchday 10, and not many predicted lineups had him in the starting 11. So yeah, that is all covered. Hopefully you enjoy it. And just to show you the Benfica one more time. No, they're not going to show the formations. It's not too relevant anyway. But I hope you enjoy the football, as I am doing right now. That's how things are looking. Theo Hernandez was able to kind of make up for that yellow card. He's got 5 ball recoveries, 1 more, and a clean sheet would be very nice. That could be an 8-pointer. Well, then 7 with the yellow card. Yeah, decent. Pulisic, 1 more ball recovery. Come on. If you can't score, give me a ball recovery point, yeah? Thank you very much, lad. Yeah. All right, let's go for a few more questions. There's still a lot of things coming in, but we've got to wrap up, otherwise we're going to stream forever. And that's something even I can't do. Matoma take touch just like that Bergkamp one. Yeah, in that moment, he was Bergkamp. Let's script the World Cup for Ronaldo in the US and close the books. FIFA like that kind of story. Yeah, maybe. They would script it rather for Portugal to win the World Cup if that's the case. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think so. I know people say Argentina, you know, in the last World Cup got favoured. I mean, check other World Cups and see the decisions against them. 1990 World Cup final, 2014 World Cup final. So yeah, it's not always going your way. Mateta could be a great fit for Arsenal. I mean, yeah, he's a striker that I should have considered more. That's true. Maybe over Chris Wood because of age and profile. But I'd rather go for Watkins, Isak, who is number 1 for me, and Cunha. I predict Joao Felix's career till end. Clip this. Okay, let's see. Just like you'll never see another Marcelo at left back. So unique, so technical. Oh yeah, he's a quality player. He is. Not quite what we're talking about though. Benteke clear. Nah, there's no chance Ronaldo winning the World Cup. He can't admit that he's finished. Yeah, Lookman not starting. Not a surprise there. Like you, I am close to wetting myself. I don't know. I've had to go for like over an hour, but I'm still here. Mateta's the better version of Lukaku. Yeah, he's definitely better now. Although Lukaku has scored some big goals this season. Retegui benched, yeah. Yeah, for those that sold him, good stuff. Hopefully no one has kept him. Yeah, that's probably a little bit of a shock with Lookman not in the lineup, to be fair. So yeah, thank you, Petros. I ended up doing Barcola to Paslic last minute. All the best, mate. I hope it goes well for you. So yeah, Kane starts. Dylan, I missed the deadline and benched Elise and forgot to change my captain from Pulisic to Kane. Well, with the captaincy, it's not the end of the world because you can then captain a Wednesday player if needed, but not ideal. The Elise one could sting. I hope it doesn't for you. And I don't have him, so hopefully he blanks. No offense to those Elise owners. Cunha even got 3 bonus points against Liverpool. Just shows how good he is. Definition of a talisman. 30 bonus points this season is ridiculous. I hope FPL don't change the bonus points by the end of the game week, which they love doing. I have Bellanova and he's not starting. What a shame. True. That is true. There are a few surprises in that lineup, to be fair. Hernandez is now up to 2 points, by the way. So he's got that second ball recovery point. Nice. Thank you, Dylan, for these streams. You are my goat. Congratulations for 32k. Thank you, Venom. Always good to see you, and hopefully Arsenal can make us happy by the end of the season. Manana's made no saves. Yeah, with goalkeepers, it's a funny one, but if he keeps a clean sheet, it's all good. Glad I went with Elise over Lookman now. Yeah, that was my advice throughout the entire stream, because, look, Lookman can still come off the... he can still make a big impact off the bench. He's done it before in the Champions League this season, but I don't like having players who are benched. Respect Mateta. Yeah, he's a good striker. He is. Messi all day for me. I mean, look, I'm Argentinian, so you can say I'm biased, but I just think as a football player, I think Messi's better. I think Ashley Cole is the best left-back ever. Yeah, Maldini was a centre-back by trade. He could also play on the left. Yeah, Ashley Cole's the best Premier League left-back for sure. A legend for Chelsea. Not so much for Arsenal, but I could somewhat understand why he left. Yeah, Magnus, good news for us, and that's why Captain Kane. I would have been very surprised if he didn't play. Mateta's the better version of Lukaku. Yeah, bit disrespectful maybe to both, you could say, but they're both quality players. Thank you to those that have tuned in for the last, 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours and a half. We're going to get to that very soon. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, hitting that notification bell in the process so you never miss a single upload or deadline stream. Follow me on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, Dylan RCM or FPL Dylan. There's my Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, Spotify, and also my Patreon and the championships for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks. In the next stream, I'll be giving a shout out to those members, and thank you to the super chatters as well. Massively appreciate as we hit a new goal today, 32,000 subscribers. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and UCL Fantasy content. If you are a member or patron, then check out my Transfer Tips podcast for Game 26 and FP. Theo Hernandez red card. Just when we were ending, things were looking amazing. Theo fucking Hernandez, man. This guy is a... Oh my lord. You are actually killing me. Oh my god. Yeah, it is time for the toilet, yeah. A massive shit. Ah, this guy's an absolute prick. How are you getting red carded now, man? No way. For simulation. This guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. And by the way, you cannot substitute him out. So thank you so much, Theo Hernandez. I'm now down to 10 men and -1 point. No, 0 points. Okay, at least the ball recovery helped. This guy's an absolute pleb, man. What an absolute moron. This guy is an absolute twat, man. Oh, I wish I didn't go for Theo Hernandez from the get-go. What an idiot. Oh my god. Retegui starts, whereas everyone's saying he's benched. Let's see again. I don't know. I mean, I've read the lineup already, to be fair. Yeah, he is starting. I don't know why. I just confused myself again. But yeah, Theo Hernandez, that's all we can talk about now. What a way to end the stream, right? Red card, this ref is on something. Milan is in trouble, yeah. Makes it easier to decide the subs then. You can't sub him out. You can't sub out a player who gets sent off, mate. That's the problem with it. If he got like sent off and you can sub him out, it's all good, but you can't. We're down to 10 men. Yeah, he's an utter prick, I agree. Gatti on top, mate. Anyone's on top of Theo fucking Hernandez. 0 points, the little bastard. There you go. The Tourette's is out in full force. Thank you, Theo. Yeah, exactly, you can't. Let him go and enjoy his shitty pink hair. Mate, whoever said that got it spot on. Pink hair, he was destined for an absolute howler. Yeah, and there goes my season. Now, Theo actually stopped you from logging off. Yeah. It's, you gotta laugh, otherwise you'll cry. No, he's the worst UCL fantasy pick. Yeah, in the defense for sure. I shouldn't have gone for him. That's my mistake, but come on, who would have thought he's gonna get sent off? I thought, you know, in an ideal world with the yellow card, okay, he gets the 60, he gets the ball recovery points, 7 overall. That's pretty decent. Yeah, Milan defenders are in trouble now. Magnan as well. Can't wait to get this fraud out of my team. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be very petty. You can already make transfers, unlimited moves for Gimmick Matchday 11. He's out. He's the first person I'm selling. Change his hair back to black. He's still crap. I was the one who said it from the start. Yeah, fair play, man. I think a few others also mentioned something similar. Pink hair, man. It's just... He deserves it for having just crap hair. Why did I get Theo? He has done bugger all season. Probably because you expected a Milan clean sheet in the second leg, which was actually possible until he fucked it all up. It's the pink hair. We said it. Yeah. Fair play, man. I mean, I actually didn't know he had pink hair now, or at least I forgot about it. Ref hates him, says Mishi. And me who thought to captain him as a punt, glad I didn't. Oh, those that captain him, well, at least you can switch to captaincy with that. But you can't sub him out. Replace him with his brother. Their face almost the same. Well, Lucas Hernandez is no longer a starter for PSG, but Theo's a rip-off. Discount K-pop trainee. Look, in future videos, I will not recommend him. I will tell everyone to not go for him. Thankfully, in Matchday 11, he can't play. He's going to be suspended, and that is a blessing in disguise. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. What a way to end the stream. Theo Hernandez has been sent off to wrap off a fantastic start to UCL Fantasy, and we can't sub him out. All the best of luck for the rest of Matchday 10. Hopefully it isn't as bad as this. And I'll see you very soon for more FPL and UCL Fantasy content. Take care.